Hello and welcome to the Kingdom of Bahrain. The Bapco Energy's 8 Hours of Bahrain, the season finale for the 2025 FIA World Endurance Championship. Titles up for grabs and in hypercar. 3 brands, 1 crown. It will all be decided here. Well, a packed grid in bright autumn sunshine here this first weekend of November at the circuit, the Bahrain International Circuit, ready for everything to be decided. Final race in harness for Yannick Dalmas, the 4-time Le Mans winner, who was our safety car driver and driver standards advisor, making his final appearance in World Endurance, and so much more going on besides. Well, hello everybody, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time watching World Endurance, boy, you've got a lot to find out in 8 hours. If it's a regular occurrence for you, thank you for joining us. My name's Martin Haven, in the booth, Anthony Davidson and Graham Goodwin. And Graham, the manufacturer's title race, absolutely critical here. Ferrari could win the title, but
it's all up for grabs, and as we've seen, particularly in the latter part of this championship, Martin, all sorts of combinations can come into play. This is not done for another 9 hours.
And Anthony, round 8 of the championship here in Bahrain, for so many years the season finale, and it's never short of fireworks. 8 hours is punishing for the cars and drivers.
It really is. It's a tough track, this one. We heard interviews from the likes of Jenson Button yesterday saying how low grip this circuit is. Ahmed Al-Hati there on screen shares the car, number 46, with the doctor, Valentino Rossi. But everyone's in for a tough time today. This track is ever so punishing on the tyres especially.
29 degrees of air temperature, track temperature already nearly 40 degrees, and that is going to mean tough times for the drivers, but especially the tyres. Anthony, this is a technical track. It's not fast, but it's hard work.
Yeah, let's have a look at it in a bit more detail then. So 5.4 kilometres long, clockwise circuit. Been in existence since 2004, and it's the original surface still since then. Let's take a look at some of the key corners for today's race into turn 1, sector 1. This is your best overtaking opportunity, a heavy braking zone where the car will be at top speed down to first gear for that tight right-hander. The pit lane entry as well exits that, the pit lane exits that corner. Then you look at turn 9 and 10. We've seen a lot of cars going wide, going off the track here all weekend so far. It's a very technical corner, a lot's going on there, braking and turning at the same time. After you wind through the higher speed of 11-12, you arrive at the final 2 corners of the lap. Again, quite a heavy braking zone into turns 14, and then accelerate through the corner through turn 15. And that is a lap of this very slow speed technical circuit where, like I said before, takes a lot out of the tyres. It's a hot day, as you would expect here out in these parts of the world, in the desert, and we see all the cars pretty much venturing onto the harder tyres in these kind of conditions so far this weekend. The question is, in the hypercar category, who will venture onto the mediums at what stage?
Graham, we'll talk about hypercar in a minute. Let's talk LMGT3. Here are our points leaders, but they have not got a good starting position.
No, it's going to have to be a really convincing early race run for starters to get into the mix from the 92 car. Both the Porsches starting towards the back of the grid. What a stellar season to this point, but there's some hard work to do today. And that is our LMGT3 Teams Trophy. It's 11 points to good for the 92 Ferrari from the 92 Porsche from the 21 Ferrari, but also the 81 Corvette in the mix. Virtual champion, as things stand, would be the Manthey First Form Porsche team.
Yeah, that assumes that nobody outscores them, but as you say, 11 points. In terms of wins here, not 25 points, 38 points for 8-hour races. It's points and a half. So that widens the scope of potential success or disaster for our championship contenders and for everybody else. Well, there's Mike Conway back in the Toyota fold in the number 7 car. Toyota had a very disappointing season, Anthony Davidson. They haven't won a race yet. They hadn't had a pole position yet, but they managed to turn that around by looking out the front row. But let's take a look at some of our other contenders in LMGT3. François Heriot will start the 21 Ferrari. He and Simon Mann try to get it through into hyperpole, but the 21 Ferrari will start in 8th position, not right at the front of the field. Best of our championship contenders in terms of their grid position, and they have just 11 points to make up. band of the Bahrain police force coming.
Here's the first of the Mustangs we'll see this afternoon. 7th place on the grid for number 88 Proton competition car. Stefano Gattuso will start this car, and they've been becoming far more of a force the head of the grid as this season has rolled on. There's a new Evo car to come next year, but this is already proving to be quite the weapon in LMGT3 racing.
Been interesting, the progress of Mustang, of Mercedes and of the Lexus cars. There's the Boston WRT with a foot in both camps. Van Sant Vos running cars in hypercar for BMW and in LMGT3. Paul-Luc Chatin with his young son here, racing for Alpine in the hypercar class. Neil Jarni, last race in a Porsche for him this weekend? Well, who knows, maybe not.
Sean Galale, one friend. I think new wife, am I right? They just got married or just engaged, one or the other. I remember seeing briefly on Instagram. I don't often venture there.
6th on the grid, you just saw a quick glimpse of the number 27 Aston Martin. This is the Heart of Racing car. Heart of Racing not only running this car in LMGT3, but also the Aston Martin Valkyries in the hypercar program. And boy, they had a good time in qualifying. Ross Gunn in 007, the fastest lap during any of the qualifying runs. 27 start in the top 6, but their title not going to come this year. I just saw Marco Sorensen, he'll be starting. His teammates say it's an honour, not a duty, to put the old man in. So he gets to start the 009 Aston Martin. And Anthony Davison, drivers heading to the grid now, just trying to sort of quieten themselves down and get ready for the start of the race.
It's a nice part of the weekend. You know, your hopes are high. Everyone's starting on the clean sheet. You forget what happened in qualifying because you know today is going to be a very punishing 8 hours ahead of you.
Next up on the LMGT3 grid, and 5th in the order, the 31, the Ben Team WRT BMW. Yasser Shaheen from Australia will start this race, sponsored by the Bend Motorsport Park just outside Adelaide, his family-owned company.
And his brother, his older brother Samir, was racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East yesterday and today, so both brothers here racing. Jean-Eric Vergne, his last start this weekend in the Peugeot team, but back into LMGT3 with Lexus again. Real change in their form from last year through this season. Petru and Brarescu will start this car in 4th place on the grid. The front engine cars filling the top 6 positions, 7 positions in qualifying. The harder, high temperature Goodyear tyre really working, switching on well in the front engine cars, less so for the mid-engined rivals.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of that, haven't we, this weekend? More than ever before, the fact that the front-engine cars in GT have the advantage. And speaking of another front-engine car, Graham?
Yep, absolutely. Completing the second row is the first, or rather the second of the AMGs, as we'll soon see. The number 61 car, been quite the season for Iron Lynx and this journey into LMGT3. They've found that quite the challenge. Another great grouping there that represents generations here of the FI World Endurance Championship. Christian Reed there on the right-hand side. What future part are you going to play, Martin?
Well, a big part as ever since being a young driver racing with his dad. First time ever into hyperpole for the number 60 car, so great run from Andrew Gilbert and Lorcan Hannafin. They looked for a long while in the first round of qualifying as if they might dominate the front row. This car will start in second rather. That means that pole position did not fall to a Mercedes. It did fall to a front-engine car, though, and starting on pole position in LMGT3 is the number 87 Lexus crew. And actually, from a stellar lap from that young man there, Finn Geersitz, Arnaud Robin did the donkey work at the beginning. The 78 car will start from pole position. They will lead the field around in LMGT3.
They will, and it's a first time ever for both the Toyota brands to be on the respective pole positions.
And Anthony, hard, high temperature tyre, really, that H should say, rather than hard tyre. It's not a harder compound, it just survives the heat of the day here a little bit better. Yeah, so the LMGT3 cars, for those of you that haven't followed the entire season, first of all, why not? Secondly, the Goodyear tyre is only in existence in the LMGT3 category. In the hypercar, we're on Michelin's. You have the options, quite literally, between the medium, hard, and I seriously doubt we'll be on the wet tyres today. But yeah, so the hard tyres, in reverse of what you might see in Formula 1, the red stripe is hard, not soft.
but the medium is the yellow striped. And look at this, Porsche's last race.
Last dance, it says in that. Last dance, Jolene. I don't know whose signature is that. Is that Kevin Estre underneath? That is, I think. All of the crew have signed these cars. Porsche Penske come to the end of the road, at least for now. Who knows? In World Endurance. And Roger Penske might go away. Potentially they have the chance of defending their championship title, the number 6 car. But we'll have to wait and see what the next 8 hours of racing brings us. But for the moment, Penske and Porsche are leaving the World Endurance Championship.
Yeah, 14th on the grid. Here's the number 38 car, and another big story, final professional race for Jenson Button in this Cadillac. All sorts of farewells being said after this race. All sorts of new stories to start in 2026.
Just saw JB there beside the car with the Bunkum brothers, his best mates. Everybody's got a button tattoo on their arm this week. The Alpine starting just ahead of 38 is 36. 13th in qualifying, so these cars did not make it through into the top 10 in qualifying, didn't progress into Hyperpole, where we decide the top 10.
Yeah, and what we see, or what we saw in qualifying, doesn't always translate to the much cooler conditions we'll have later on in the race. You might have seen cars struggling more, and the Alpine was one of them. In qualifying, it might be a complete turnaround. That's the beauty of this race being so long, and the demands on the tyres and different drivers at the wheel through different times of the race. It's never over till it's over in this game, but particularly this track.
Well, here's Ye Yifei, looking to become the first Chinese FIA World Champion.
And if he does so, it'll be with this car, our Le Mans winning car this season. What a story this effort has been with Robert Kubica and with Phil Hansen. But Yifei has been a key part of this, the privately run AF Corsa Ferrari, not a factory car. And remember, critically, invisible for manufacturers' points. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, later in this broadcast.
Everybody has got friends and family here. Why wouldn't you come to a nice warm race in the middle of a European November? Bruno Famar at Alpine, former boss of Peugeot's Le Mans winning outfit. Now, there's 2 Ferraris that didn't make it through into Hyperpole. The number 50 crew lying 4th in the World Championship in terms of drivers' points. They can't play a point in the can't win the drivers' title. What they can do is help Ferrari win the manufacturers' title, because while the 83 car doesn't score for manufacturers, 50 does, along with their teammates in the other red 51 car. And for Ferrari, the drivers' title would be nice. It's about the championship, though.
Yeah, obviously the drivers want to win their championship, and they want to win the championship for the team as well. So they have double duties to play today, the team game as well as selfishly for their own benefit and their own championship. But in sports cars, it always seems like the emphasis is more on the manufacturer's championship rather than the drivers, strangely.
Well, that's because they're paying the bills, as BMW are, the number 15 car starting in 10th place. Let's catch up with Ferrari's 50 crew. Let's hear from Nick Nielsen.
Car 50, Nicholas. Here we are, the final race. This is the chance where Ferrari could make history. Thoughts as you prepare for this very long race?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, it's a long race. I think for us, the main focus is obviously the manufacturers, but then on the other hand, we have the 51 who can win the drivers as well. So there is a lot to win and a lot to lose. So yeah, I mean, always difficult to predict what's going to happen, but hopefully we will have a clean start to the race, and then we will see what happens after that.
Powers are on.
Well, in the main shot there, you saw James Calado and Alessandro Pierguidi. They have been world champions for Ferrari here before in GTE Pro. Can they do it in Hypercar?
Well, here's the 007. It's going to be Harry Tinknell to start this car. We expected possibly better things from the Aston Martins in qualifying, but make no mistake, these howling beasts are going to have a part to play throughout the 8 hours that are going to be following.
Ross Gunn said he made a mistake on his best Hyperpole lap. One tiny little error, and it takes too long to recover from it, and there's not time in Hyperpole to bring the tyres back in. But a great run. He was the fastest man in all of qualifying. It was just in the first session. So teams lining up for preparation for the anthem. Here's the number 5 Porsche Penske Motorsport 963. Julian Andlauer starting the car. sharing with Mathieu Jaminet and new boy Lauren Heinrich. So he's a new addition to the team for this weekend as Michael Christensen steps away. And again, signatures from all the 5 crew on the Penske car. So as we say, it's the end of the road for Porsche Penske Motorsport. Is Porsche's current participation coming to an end, or will next season see a Porsche factory team in a different colour scheme on the grid? Time will tell.
Great shot of all the cars lined up there, ready to pull away. And when they'll become line astern,
Lauren Heinrich on the left, the new face in that car, and Mathieu Jaminet having announced his departure from the team after today.
So a moment or two as we wait for the Bahraini national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, now please be outstanding for the national anthem of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Thank you.
So we are heading into the season finale, the 2025 FIA World Endurance Championship in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And we just saw the crew of the 007 Aston Martin. Here is the 51 Ferrari lining up in 7th place. These are the drivers who could be world champions at the end of this race.
yeah, some good laps from Giovinazzi, who was behind the wheel during qualifying. And the only car, unbelievably, the only Ferrari that made it through into Hyperpole.
We see that quite often, Anthony. One car from a team does find that lap and the other car doesn't. So it may not be a reflection of the pace of the car. You've got to look at where the best car is, perhaps.
Well, when Robert Kubica was asked during qualifying, or just after, about the disappointments, he was very quick to say, well, we've been focusing on the race. This is the only chance I had to be on new tyres. So that really goes to show where their emphasis is.
It's the second of the Aston Martin Valkyries. Marcus Sorensen aboard the 009 car. They'll start from a fine 6th position, looking to match the form in the race that we saw yesterday from the Toyotas. And we're with Mike Conway on the grid right now.
Mike Conway, front row of the grid yet again. Toyota have smashed it out of the park. Here you are in pole position, a really important race. Ready to take the glory?
Sorry, I have my engineer talking to me here, but yeah, it's going to be a long race, a lot about tyre wear and strategy, so we'll see what we can do.
Have a good one.
7th consecutive pole position for Toyota and their 2nd straight front row lockout. And Cadillac in 5th position. So really good run. Alex Lynn personally with 3 pole positions this season, only beaten by Ferrari, who have a cumulative total of 4 across 3 cars. And Will Stevens, as usual, starting the car. It's a fiery combination, and there's no question they will be looking to win this one. So too for the number 5 crew as well, Julian Andlauer in that car. There's our LMGT3 points leaders, and it will be their bronze driver like everybody else who will start the race. Peugeot qualified really strongly as well. Row 2 lockout for the French cars. Paul de Resta starting here. Jean-Eric Verne having his last race for the team, Graham.
Yeah, the sister car, the 94 as well, It was a fine qualifying effort for Peugeot, and tellingly, they were disappointed with that second row start. This 94 car, Loic de Waal with Melter Jacobsen, and a new face in this team this weekend, Theo Pourchaire, coming in from a bit of a spell in LMP2 and looking forward to the challenge ahead. Watch these Peugeots, they're going to be fiery.
And it's a really good indication of how they've grown in pace this season, that they're on row 2 of the grid. But Toyota, again, a front row lockout.
Yeah, and some really, I was going to say, some feisty drivers starting here today, and Brendan Hartley, certainly one of them as well. And they smell blood here, don't they, the Toyotas? Winless so far this year, and they're desperately in the hunt for making that right here in Bahrain like they did last year as well.
This would have been the first season since 2015 that they had not taken a pole position, but Kamui Kobayashi and Brendan Hartley were both close. It was in the end Kobayashi who set the fastest lap. Brendan saying he made a mistake on his best lap. Mike Conway starts. You heard from him a moment or two ago with Alex Le Guy, who will be in the pit lane along with Bruce Joanny. So Mike, Kamui Kobayashi, Nick de Vries looking to end the season with at least a win. They are unlikely to be repeating last year's Manufacturers' Championship win. But the front row of the grid is all Toyota. Mike Conway and, in a new helmet, Brendan Hartley starting ahead of Loic de Waal and Paul de Resta. It's all Peugeot row 2. Row 3, Cadillac versus Aston Martin, two of the best sounding cars on the grid. Will Stevens and Marco Sorensen ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, the championship leaders in 51, and Julian Andlauer. 9th, 007 Aston Martin, Harry Tingle and Kevin Magnussen will start the BMW number 15 ahead of a pair of Ferraris of Nick Nielsen and Phil Hansen on row 6. Row 7, the best of the Alpines, Fred Makovici ahead of Earl Bamber in the second Caddy. Then Ferdy Habsburg, second Alpine, and René Rast in the number 20 BMW. It wasn't a great qualifying for the 99 or the 6 car, but they start at the tail of the hypercar field. In LMGT3, it'll be Honor Roban, who paces field from the Mercedes driver Andrew Gilbert and his teammate Martin Berry, with Petru Umbrarescu making it front-engine cars on the first 2 rows. Yasser Shaheen and Ian James, BMW and Aston Martin, more front-engine cars ahead of Stefano Gattuso. And first, the mid-engine cars, Francois Heriot, the championship contender. Ahmed El Harty and Ben Keating for BMW and Corvette. Ahead of the first of the McLarens, Darren Leung and Bernardo Souza in the second of the Mustangs. 31st and 32nd, James Cottingham, McLaren, Tom Van Rompuy, challenger for the title in the Corvette. Anthony McIntosh and Thomas Floor start on the penultimate row and on the back row of the grid. The points leaders, Ryan Hardwick in the 92 First Form Porsche and Celia Martin in the sister Manthey car for the Iron Dames. The Porsches did not qualify well. Ryan telling me this morning he was certainly hopeful of better race pace throughout this long 8-hour enduro. Anthony Davidson, what goes through your mind when you're sitting with the door closed now?
It's actually a nice moment when the team leaves you to it. You feel that huge responsibility, and it's a good feeling starting these races. It's funny, you feel the pressure, of course, and that's a good thing, but you also know in the back of your mind it's an 8-hour race and it can't be won at the first corner, but it can certainly go wrong at the first corner, and we've seen that happen here many times. Cold brakes, cold tyres, and it's a very tight couple of corners to start you off with here, this 5.4 kilometre circuit. So we've seen many times in the World Endurance Championship recently where they barrel down into the first corner and mistakes are made. It's very difficult to, and you know that sitting inside the car, and that's one of your many responsibilities that you carry with you.
Don't hit stuff. Turn left. So building up to speed now over the first of at least 2 formation laps. If the race director is happy with the way that everybody is formed up at the end of the second formation lap, then they will be released to go racing. So in the Manufacturers' Championship, Ferrari lead Porsche and Cadillac. Ferrari's last World Championship in sports car racing, 1972. Cadillac's last, no. So Porsche, the most recent Manufacturers' World Championship, has gone to them out of our title contenders.
To remind the leaders of each category the procedures after T13 to grid position, and it is 2 lines of cars crossing the Formula 1 starting boxes. The responsibility of the speed of the pack relies with the pole position of each category. The second car must respect that fact.
So just making sure that everything starts cleanly. That was the voice of our race director, Eduardo Freitas. And it's really hard. I think a moment of emotion there from Lawrence Vantor for the team. They've had an epic couple of seasons, and what a team to race for as well. Roger Penske's crew have had such a reputation over the years, and to come to the end of this chapter, and it will be a chapter, I think, both for the drivers and for the team. Yeah, a moment to think about that on the formation lap, because Graham, once we get racing, you're going to have to focus a lot more than that.
Something about the emotion of those words, isn't there? This is elite sport at the very highest level, and at Davidson, that is hard to do.
Absolutely, this is without question the pinnacle of endurance racing. So, all these manufacturers coming in, and we have 8 of them now unbelievably fighting each other. The drivers elevate themselves to new heights, and there's so much more at stake.
And it's very easy to imagine that everybody is hard-bitten and cynical. They're not. This is passion. This is not a business for them. This is not a job. It is a passion. And that's what runs all the way through this grid. Manthey first form the points leaders by 11 from the 21 Vista AF Corsa Ferrari. And although both Corvettes mathematically could tie the points leaders, it is the 81 car and not the 33 that could be the title winners.
And that's because countback would then come into play, and that doesn't work for the 33 car. There is no combination by which they could do it here. They could mathematically finish on equal points with the championship winners, however unlikely that might be, but on countback they would not take the title. Second formation lap, a bit of breeze in the air. You spotted with the flag on top of the magnificent building inside turn 1.
Always looking out for that flag, Graham. Always, the racing driver never leaves you inside. And so I looked at that flag to see which direction the wind's blowing. It's a tailwind towards turn 4, and that's the same as yet. It's good news for the drivers. It's the same as it was yesterday. That means they're going to be familiar with that tailwind into that corner. It means a headwind into turn 9, and it also means a headwind down the back straight towards the final couple of corners, turn 14 and 15.
Had a chat with one of our friends and colleagues at Michelin this morning, and they said watch for tyre strategy here. There's going to be a point at which some teams may well take a risk in switching from the hard to the medium tyre. So you can see, some are getting it right, some are going to get it wrong.
So sorry, Graham. Yeah, you can see the red sidewall tyres is like we suspected that teams would opt for in the highest temperatures that we will have in the race today. The question is, at what time do they switch to those mediums? But I haven't seen yet if anyone has been brave enough to go on to the mediums.
Again, you have to be just careful and see it square on, don't you?
Gentle reminder, all cars to grid positions exiting T13. Let's close those gaps, please.
So what our race director Eduardo Freitas wants to see is cars side by side in grid formation and with closed gaps between the rows. What he's also looking for when the leading car pulls off, driven by Yannick Dalmas for the final time, he will want to ensure that the car pacing each field, i.e. the pole sitter, does not vary their speed. So you hold a constant speed, and that means that we should hopefully avoid any of the dramas we had in one of the restarts at Qatar.
To grid position, hypercars to grid position.
Dorian Pan, you just saw there in the back.
Lila Wadou.
Lila Wadou, indeed, sorry. In the back of the Iron Dames garage.
They should be driving the hypercar in the rookie test tomorrow.
Yannick, please slow down a little bit. Yannick, please slow down a little bit. And I take the opportunity to thank you, Yannick, for all you've given to motorsport and especially to endurance. A big thank you from all of us.
We are ready to go racing in Bahrain. The finale of the 2025 FIA World Endurance Championship. Our grid is formed. The leading car pulls into the pit lane. We are about to go green for the Bahrain Energies 8 Hours of Bahrain. It's a long run to the line and no overtaking before it. Mike Conway on the left of the screen. The Peugeot trying to insert himself straight down the middle. Number 8 already ahead, so Brendan Hartley making a better start. Lloyd Duval trying to get through there, but it is Toyota 1-2 so far. The hypercar field has escaped, but a big moment. Snap over the curbs from number 6 Porsche. On the inside of turn 2, Anthony, that's a big curb, and they're 4-5 wide behind.
Yeah, there was almost contact with the BMW in turn 1, and also a little bit, I think, through turn 4 as well, but a real near miss for everyone who was around car number 6 at the start there. And Laurent Vantour doing an exceptional job to hang on to that.
Julian Andlauer in the 5 car right behind the 83 Ferrari. 99 is off. Who else went off there as well? Was that the Alpine? Fred Makovic dropped to the tail of the pack. So it might have been the 99 and the 36 Alpine.
One of the BMWs getting squeezed wide, just slightly off the track there through turn 9 as well. Manages to survive that one without getting overtaken by car 50 behind. That's Nick Nielsen at the wheel.
On board with Laurens Vantour in the number 6 Porsche. He's down in 15th position. There he is in the middle of that group with the white nose and the red highlights.
Yeah, so the cars that went wide and off the track in turn 7 was the Alpine, and you can see just at the back of your screen there, the number 99 Proton Porsche.
Proton Porsche appears to have a continuing problem. Can tell you no major dramas to be seen in LMGT3. We'll see that start a little later, but side by side here.
15 BMW is the red, white and blue, and the red of Ferrari, that's car number 50 trying to make its way up the order. Not a championship contender, but they must score manufacturers' points to try and give Ferrari the title.
Always a difficult one, like Nielsen did. Pull off that move into the final corner, then you're under attack immediately as Magnussen's back on it, getting a bit of side draft even down towards first corner. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers here? Get the feeling it's going to be Nielsen on the inside, but Magnussen's not going to give this up. Round the outside he goes, gives himself the inside for turn 2 and retakes that position.
The reigning drivers' champions, Porsche number 6, being mugged by the BMWs, and look at the Aston Martin here. This is on the 50 Ferrari, so that Aston Martin 007.
Yeah, it was the aftermath
at the start, didn't it?
It was the aftermath of that overtaking move. Brilliant move by Kevin Magnussen that allowed the Aston to slip by as well. Nielsen's got to be sensible here. He knows he's got a fast race car under him today. And he tries to get around the outside. Now, with the Aston, there was a bit of contact, I think. Bit of damage, maybe something flicked up, didn't it?
Yeah.
But he gets through.
Looks like a lens of some description. Meantime, I can tell you, up to 4th position overall is the number 12 Cadillac and Will Stevens. He's managed to split the Peugeots.
And that's a pretty good job there. He is the gold car between the 2 white machines. And then the best of the Aston Martins, Marco Sorensen, the dark green Valkyrie. He's ahead of 51. Antonio Giovinazzi right on board, Anthony.
Yeah, Giovinazzi with another Aston Martin in front of him. We've just seen one Ferrari get by an Aston, and it's up to Giovinazzi. But they've got to bide their time here, the Ferraris. Like I say, they know they've been focusing on race pace the entire weekend. Sacrifice qualifying in many ways for that. 51 has number 83 of Phil Hansen right behind him.
And that's your driver's title race. There's the 50 car, still behind the 15 BMW, and this is the battle for 10th place. Points only go down to 10th, but the 83 car is invisible for manufacturers.
Yeah, he's rapid here, isn't he? So Nielsen had a look this time into the final corner, thought better of it, and surely that's going to give him the chance to have a look down inside. Yes, so this time pops it down. Is Magnussen going to give this one up this time? Locks up the inside front, and that's the move done for Nielsen. That lock-up just caused the move to happen. Nothing that Magnussen could do that time around, and I think Nielsen's going to be fine here into turn 4 as well. He's just about given himself enough free air between the two of them.
Here's the battle for second place in LMGT3. Arnaud Robin leading in the Lexus, a little distance ahead there. He is with the red nose, and then the black and the yellow Mercedes, 61 ahead of 60, and a big lock-up from the second Lexus. Petro Umbra Rescue allows the Mustang 88 almost to squeeze in, and that is Stefano Gattuso with Ahmed El Hati, the 46 BMW, also in it, and Gattuso does get the advantage out of turn 3.
Yeah, but there's been a switch between the two AMGs because Martin Berry's now ahead of Andrew Gilbert, has taken second place and is off in pursuit of Arnaud Raban in the lead of this race.
All of the LMGT3 drivers, like in Hypercar, are saying you must keep your tyres alive in the first stint, and double stinting otherwise is going to be absolutely murder. And a lot of these cars, particularly at the front, the front engine cars, will be looking at changing rear tyres only, but you must keep them alive. In terms of driver time, Graham, 2 hours 20 is the minimum for the bronze drivers, which is nearly 3 stints.
It's a matter of whether or not any of them feel they can do that in one fell swoop. My guess is we're going to see some of them very much attempt that. It is a warm day, and it's not helped by, in many cases, a multi-litre V6 or V8 heater up the front of these cars.
Giovinazzi still lurking in the mirrors, isn't he? As we ride on board with him now, that's the Aston Martin that he's hunting down. Just get a feeling that he's just waiting for that moment when he sees potentially the tyre start. Oh, and a moment there for the Iron Dames car, 85.
Cyril Martin started last. She got ahead of Darren Leung, who's dropped to the tail of the field in the McLaren, but ran out wide.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here. So it's down in towards turn 11. Oh, she has a look down the inside, and was that contact? But I don't think so. But spins the car to avoid any contact. A bit of a late move there. So look at the two Toyotas in front, just stretching that gap. They've now got it up to 4 seconds over the first of the Peugeots, Loic Duval. And we look at the tyre graphics. So Conway and Hartley decided on their cars, they've got the front right, which is a medium. The rest of them are hards. So you can see as well that Will Stevens, a full set of mediums.
As is Harry Tinknell by the look of things, and Ferdy Habsburg.
But that's not what my tyre graphic is telling me. Will Stevens is on a full set of hards from what I see. So who do you trust
That probably makes more sense. The Toyota historically, Anthony, has gone earlier to a lower temperature tyre and been able to make it to survive, whereas we haven't seen that from Cadillac. Doesn't mean it can't do it, but we haven't seen it. Top 3, and then behind, the Mustang, the Blue Nose, and the Mustang 88 in 4th position in LMGT3. Let's take a look back at the start. Wasn't the cleanest of even starts. They should have been side by side with the Lexus.
Yeah, it looks like Raban had the jump, didn't he, at the lights, and that was a close one with car 60. Andrew Gilbert getting so close there under the brakes to the Lexus in front.
And the problem there was he should have been beside the Lexus, that yellow Mercedes, and he wasn't, and that then made a problem for his own teammate, Andrew Gilbert, in 61. Somebody going across the dirt there. It was the second
21 car.
Mustangs.
That's the title
21 as well.
Yeah, one of the McLarens as well, just going a bit wide and lose momentum.
That'll be where Darren Leung dropped to the tail of the field as we rode on board there with the championship leaders.
Side-by-side action, wasn't it, with the second and third place cars through turn 6 and 7, and that's how car 60, the Iron Lynx car of Andrew Gilbert, just about hung on to, well, for now, that third place.
Nancy Davison, first 10 minutes of this race is looking like it's 4 or 5 years ago. Toyota, from the front row of the grid, starting to creep away from everybody else.
Yeah, it does,
We have
doesn't it?
not seen anything close to that all
But
year.
I don't think we're seeing the fastest car in race pace leading the pack behind Toyotas. So at the moment it's the Peugeots, but I've got a suspicion it's the Ferraris. Look at them. You got a move going on here. One of the Corvettes down the inside of. Is that Thomas Floor at the wheel in the 21?
That's
No, it's Aereo.
That's
The
21
33,
front row.
it's the 33 car of Ben Keating going past the title contending 21. So this is actually helping the 81 car, taking points away at these very early stages from the other title contending cars.
So 21 at the moment is only just in the points in 10th place. The 81 Corvette is 92 Porsche is not in the points, and 82 Corvette is the next car back. The other yellow car just in the back of the shot they're not in the points at the moment. So of the contenders, only the 21 Ferrari is currently scoring a point, but 7 hours and 50 minutes to go.
It's quite interesting in LMGT3. So what we were talking about, the front engine cars versus the rear engine cars, obviously it affects the weight distribution. Front engine cars will naturally have a more forward weight distribution than the rear engine or mid engine cars. So that helped them, the front engine cars, to heat up their front tyres quicker in qualifying, but that could in a way be your enemy today in race pace. So watch out for the rear engine cars just getting their tyres working better here. As look at that fight going on between the Porsche and the Ferraris. This is Nick Nilsson still in the car 50, really harassing the Porsche there now in front as he's found his way past Kevin Magnussen. He's on an absolute flyer, isn't he? Like I said, the Ferraris look really quick to me at this stage in the race. And they're just bottleneck behind other cars.
Look on the left. Both of the factory Ferraris, 51 and 50, now in the points, but only the 5 Porsche is. Number 6 is down in 16th. Points only go down to 10th. So at the moment, it's advantage Ferrari. Again, still 7 hours and 50 odd minutes to go.
So as Nilsson goes to the right-hand side, so does the Porsche, and does it beautifully well. Just in time, he made that defensive move. Doesn't push the car off circuit because he was always in front, and it made Nilsson have to think about going around the outside instead. So look, this is what it looked like on board. So Nilsson goes to the right, and as soon as he goes to the right, the car in front of him is going to the right as well. It was beautifully judged by the Porsche.
That was hard-shouldered to central reservation, watching the full width of the track, white line to white line, but it was at least consistent. So, yeah, no harm, no foul.
Remind me never to share the motorway with Martin Haven.
Julian, we don't go crazy to defend with this car behind. We don't go crazy to defend with this car behind.
And that's an interesting radio message, isn't it? Saying to Andlauer, look, you know, we've just seen a really feisty move in trying to desperately hang on to your position. They're fast. The Ferraris are fast. And I read into that that's not our race today. Even though they're second in the Constructors' Championship, right here, right now, if he keeps trying to pull desperate moves like we've seen with the fight with Magnussen, around the outside, potential contact with Harry Tincknell, you know, Nilsson maybe is a better idea to give him space because he seems rapid at the moment and willing to put everything on the line to get by.
I wonder if that indicates that Porsche think they've got something to play with later in this race when it gets cooler, that they don't need to go toe-to-toe right now.
We're 6 laps in. This is habitually where we start to hear engineers on this track saying, you're doing really well, look after the tyres, look after the tyres. That is the only thing here. Don't hit stuff, look after the tyres. So he's saying, this is not the time for this. We've got another 5 hours to see where we are, and then we'll work our way into the fight. Meanwhile, a little further down the order, 38 ahead of 20 and back with the McLarens. This is the 59 car. This is James Cottingham starting and battling with Thomas Floor in the 54 Ferrari.
Yeah, remember this will be the final race for the moment for United Autosports, leaving the WC to start their development journey, and it's going to go with a change of position here. James Cottingham making it up the inside. Development journey for the incoming for 2027 McLaren hypercar, their new team principal here at Bahrain today.
So another move that goes into turn 14 and you get immediately repassed, and the problem is I think both of them get overtaken by the Aston Martin here at this rate. So it's traditionally not a brilliant place, although tempting to overtake, because look at what it's created into turn 1.
Tony McIntosh getting a double toe. They held each other up, and the Aston Martin number 10 Racing Spirit on Man goes through, and a little bit of afters between Thomas Floor and James Cottingham, so they lost a place as well to Ryan Hardwick, who had to take avoiding action there, Anthony. Only just got through safely.
Yeah, that was really heated stuff through turn 1, turn 2. A little bit of contact between the two cars as well, but Hardwick was fully off the circuit on the exit of turn 2.
We're just about to hear from the number 59 McLaren, but let's hear from James Cottingham and the team. Okay, we're not going to get that. Meanwhile, elsewhere in LMGT3, Stefano Gattuso, the 88 Mustang, and 27 Ian James under investigation for both leaving track limits, passing other cars.
Watch Ryan Hardwick here, goes off the track, takes the 2 positions, realises he's done that by going off track, lifts out and passes those two positions back.
It was more avoiding action, really, wasn't it? So he sees the cars go wide, he thinks the pass is on, but they're still on track, and he carries momentum, and then thinks, actually, yeah, you're right, Graham, I've actually passed them off circuit. You've got to give that place back, or both places back. Sean Galeo doesn't look surprised in the slightest at what happened there.
It's just his resting face.
With Ryan Hardwick, there were two things there. Don't get hit, don't pick up a penalty.
Absolutely, yeah, not this early on. Well, you don't want it at any point in the race, but particularly now.
Really sensible, took avoiding action, and then we'll give it all back. We're not going upstairs to the stewards with this. Celia Martin, Thomas Floor under investigation for an incident at turn 11. That's a separate incident. That was probably what ended up with Celia Martin going off on lap 1 or 2. And Mike Conway and Brendan Hartley pulling away from the front of the field at the moment. They are 2.5 seconds clear of everybody else, led by Loic Duval. And now Anthony in traffic, and this is where it begins. They've had 7 laps on their own, and now it goes.
Yeah, action before we even get to the traffic here between Harry Tinknell and the 007, and this is still with Kevin Magnussen. So Tinknell looking like he's got the bit between the teeth here and putting pressure on the BMW, and he's got a nice run. He's given himself a good run there through 1 and 2, and he's going to be a threat to the BMW as we focus on that towards turn 4. He thinks about going around the outside and does another switchback. He's going to pop up on the inside here, and it's going to be that drag race down towards turn 6. Magnussen comes over to the right, and immediately Harry Tinknell knows to back out of it. That was close.
I think everybody's seen Kevin Magnussen before, during and after Formula 1 races, haven't they?
And now we get into the traffic, as you said before, Martin. This is where the fun and games really start for the front runners. That first time when you reach the slower cars, with all due respect, your heart's in your mouth, because you're usually coming up against the bronze-rated drivers as well. They typically start the races in LMGT3, and their eyes are everywhere. They're in the fight themselves, as we've seen, and then you've got these faster cars dive-bombing you left, right, centre to desperately get by, and it's not easy for anyone.
More than that, because we've had a full green period since the start of this race, they're still very close together. So it's not just one car going for the apex through that gap you might or might not have left. It might be 4 or 6 or 18.
You get quite a few times, Graham, where it's tempting, being, if you're in a fight, say like Nick Nielsen is with the Porsche here, if he overtakes a GT car, it's so tempting to follow them through, and that's a dangerous game to play.
Less inside curb, turn 11. Less inside curb, turn 11.
Okay.
So that's either because of potential damage to the car, cutting tyres. It's quite a heavily serrated curb. It's turn 11 apex. But look, down towards turn 1 once again. That was a great rear view shot. And Nielsen just deciding to play it a bit safer than usual. And there, see, that's what I mean. It's an easy place to try and stick your nose down the inside of a GT car, but they're surprisingly good. With thanks to their ABS, their braking system, the anti-lock braking system, they can catch out many a well-experienced driver in hypercar when you feel like you've got the measure on them equipment-wise, but suddenly they're right there at the end of braking, because they're not going to lock up. You're going to be the one that locks up, if any.
The jeopardy here for a car like the Silver 21 Ferrari, you're trying to win the title, you must avoid getting hit, but you've got to try and avoid losing any time as these quicker cars are coming by as well.
But this is where we see, usually, I mean, I know it can go wrong, but usually you see the quality of all the drivers here in this World Endurance Championship, and for me that's what sets it apart compared to other endurance racing we see around the world. You know, what these guys are doing, and girls, it's not easy at all. So especially this, like you said, Graham, this point in the race when they're all so close together, that's even more difficult to manage. Those small gaps that you're fighting with.
Yeah, so Julia, we keep it clean, whatever happened. It will come to us.
I'm absolutely convinced that this is it. You've just heard exactly what's going on with Porsche. They're not in the fight. They are fighting to retain position. The 6 car is way back, but I think they're quite comfortable there at the moment. I think they know they've got something to bring to this race later in the day.
Well, it might rather be that they've got nothing at the moment and they have to make the second stint work.
And also in general it's looking quite good. So Harry dropped a lot of position. He said the 11 and the 81 is P12, so both competitions are out of points.
Iron Dames behind the first four Manthey Porsche, but this battle between Ferrari and McLaren, it's on again. Thomas Floor and James Cottingham. Anthony, this went quite interestingly the last time they were side by side into turn one.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think we're going to have a copy and paste of that moment, but look at the Iron Dames behind fighting the other Porsche. Wow, that was a clatter over the curbs, wasn't it? Cottingham's got nowhere to go. He almost carried the momentum too early, and he's going to look to the outside here in turn 4. But this is still tailing off from what happened in turn 14, where Cottingham went down the inside. Can he make this stick around the outside here? A bit more contact between the two of them, and actually loses a lot of time there on the exit. And I think the Iron Dames are going to get
slots up the inside.
Yeah, it's not just lost in that place, but this battle is actually pulling these cars back towards the trailing pack, because there's a gap emerging ahead of that battling pair. 6 seconds now until we get to the next car up the road from Thomas Floor, and that's Tony McIntosh in the number 10 Racing Spirit Le Mans Aston Martin.
Looking at two of the United Autosports McLarens there at the tail of the field. They locked out the front row in qualifying here last year. It's a very different race car this season. It's had some very good results, but not quite as good here as they were. Leaders in traffic coming through the front runners in LMGT3, Graham.
And there's a different front runner, third place now in LMGT3, the 88 Mustang. It's gone by Andrew Gilbert. Stefano Gattuso has put the number 88 car up into third place overall, and he's beginning to put pressure on Martin Berry ahead in the quicker of the two AMGs.
And Anthony, still this battle, 9th and 10th.
Yeah, so Nilsson's got to size up where he can get past the slightly slower Porsche of Andlauer in front of him. But look how bunched up this pack is here. The other Porsche of car number 6 with Laurent Fantor. We ride on board with him now. So he's got the Alpine in front of him is the BMW of René Rast.
I was talking to Lawrence just before the race in the driver's autograph session. So this is very different from last year. Last year, the number 6 car had the team's championship or the driver's championship lead, and he said, "I've had the worst race of my entire life. They just looked like they were desperate not to lose it." I said, "At least now you've only got one target, and that's to race as hard as the car will allow." And he went, "I suppose that is actually easier. I think it's always easier to chase. It's nice to have a point advantage, but last year they nearly dropped the ball."
Looks like Vantor has got the car advantage here over the two in front of him, the Alpine and the BMW, but I think he's playing the waiting game. It's going to be a lot to do with the second stint here on the same tyre.
We see on Telem that you are shifting a bit too late on the high gears. Regarding tyre management, so far so good. Doing good job with the gears.
So yeah, if you shift gear too late, sometimes you can just kiss the limiter, and so it can. Two things can potentially start doing damage to the engine if you're just revving unnecessarily too high, and hitting that limiter consistently through the race isn't good. But I think the biggest thing they're seeing there is you're just losing extra performance. As soon as you hit that hard limiter, you're just not allowing the car to accelerate as well as it should be doing. But I feel like in terms of tyre preservation, he's doing a really good job here, and it's probably why we're seeing the second Toyota in screen as well, just hanging back from the sister car. So it's all about that second stint. That's when you start to see a huge disparity in lap times, and you get to see who's been doing the better job with tyre management.
Getting clear of that GT traffic now, and the Toyotas are pulling away again. The gap now to Loic Duval in the first of one is the two Peugeots chasing him, because that position has changed. The 12 Cadillac has dropped behind the 93 Peugeot. The gap now 5.2 seconds.
And look at this battle, Anthony. Brand new car at the beginning of the season, the Aston Martin, battling wheel to wheel with the dominant force, Ferrari. And that's so encouraging for any new team, that within a season you can come from being stone last to being competitive.
Yeah, it's been a huge turnaround for the Aston Martin Valkyrie. I'm really surprised and impressed. I know what that team's capable, of course, but still, when we know how strong the competition is, you only have to look at teams like Peugeot, for example, to see how long it's taken them to start running reliably and consistently quickly at the front. So yeah, as our guide, history would say that it's an incredibly hard-fought championship in terms of speed to try and get the better of drivers like driving Ferraris and Porsches. They've been doing this a long time. So Yeah, great turnaround from them. Look, the fight still continues here with McLaren and Ryan Hardwick in the number 92 Porsche.
It's interesting to hear the message that Ryan was getting. They don't want him to panic at this stage. He's at the tail of the field, leading this championship, and what he was told was what he needed to know. We are in a good position with the other title contenders not in a position to fight for big points right now.
Nobody is scoring any points. You still have your advantage. Again, don't panic. Great battle going on here for fourth place behind Petro Umbraresco. You've got the yellow number 60 Mercedes of Andrew Gilbert, and then Ian James in the blue heart of racing, Aston Martin. Abd Al-Hati, the Qatari driver right behind it. Here we go. Nick Nielsen closer than he's been before, Anthony.
Yeah, down the inside. I think he's going to get this one done. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Left rear to right front, but he gets the move done. A decisive move, a move that I feel like he needed to do at this stage in the race. It's not over yet, though. Look at the run that Andlau has got on the exit of turn 2 and 3. Does he think about it? No, he doesn't. So that's another place gained for Nicholas Nielsen in the car 50.
And that's important because 50 Manufacturers' Championship title, Ferrari's last World Sports Car title, 1972. They are looking a long way back.
So now it's Ferrari running in a trio of 7th, 8th and 9th.
At the moment, Toyota scoring best, can't be champions. Peugeot second best, can't be champions. It's all about Ferrari versus Porsche. Tiniest of touches as that pass was completed, but Nick Nielsen did have the pace to get by. He just hadn't had the opportunity. Let's hear from the team.
You know what is funny? Every time you need to pass these guys and also the BMWs, you always need to have contact with them for some reason.
Yeah, and I can't fault Nielsen for his move at all, and the contact wasn't because of his actions. It's just hard to judge sometimes, I think, from Andlau that's getting overtaken, but something that Nielsen and maybe the Ferrari drivers feel there by his radio message, that every time we overtake these guys, there's contact, whether it's whether we're trying to avoid it or not, there's always contact.
Well, you just saw in the turquoise car there, Ryan Hardwick in the first one Porsche, having a look at James Cotterman. No. What a hard thing to balance, Anthony. Trying to be a racing driver, but desperately trying to avoid anything going wrong. Yeah.
Speaking of racing, look at these two. Look, the sparks flying off the back of Harry Tincknell's Aston Martin. And is this move going to happen in turn 1? Is Magnussen going to allow it to happen? He does. He has to yield there, doesn't he? He had to just get out of it. He couldn't keep his nose in around the outside of the corner. So Kevin Magnussen loses another position here. The BMW just hasn't got the same pace, hasn't had all weekend, has it, over the Aston Martin?
Harry Tincknell had tried around the outside the previous time we saw the two together. The inside line proved to be the better choice this time, and he's already pulling away from that BMW, off now in pursuit.
But these risky moves, these risky moves that you have to make with potential contact, it does stem from qualifying. The mistake from Ross Gunn where he said, I just lost a bit of time in my mid-sector. It then puts you out of sync, and they're down in 11th place now, where the sister car, P6.
Making progress, by the way, at the moment. The 87 Cody CSP Lexus just saw that move from Petro Moresco on Stefano Gattuso. That means he's passed Andrew Gilbert. He's now passed the Mustang as well. It's a Lexus 1-3.
Yeah, they're looking strong, aren't they? Umbrarescu lost a couple of places early on, but has come back into the hypercar field and sort of middle of the bottom end. Possibly the bottom end. Ferdy Habsburg and Fred Makabiki with a Lawrence Vantor filling in the Alpine sandwich. There's Vantor right in front of us, who's right with Fred Mako. I talked to Fred before the race. I said, what have you got in terms of race pace? He said, we couldn't turn the tyre on in qualifying. We just hope that we've got more endurance in the race pace. And again, looking at rear tyre changes potentially rather than left sides or right sides.
This whole train of cars that we're looking at here, caused by, it looks at the moment, I don't know if the BMW's in tyre preservation mode. I don't think so. It's Kevin Magnussen who's been losing time and losing positions. But this whole train of cars after him now, I feel like they're just queuing up for their turn to get past.
Well, look at the gap. He's dropped 1.7 seconds behind Harry Tincknell's Aston in less than a lap. As now, Ferrari continue to extend their points advantage, but Toyota move up to second place. So that's a big change. It's all still open. 30 minutes in, 7.5 hours to go. Lots of dicing outside the top 10 in the hypercar class. Kevin Magnussen, the 15 BMW, slipping down the order just ahead of 38 Earl Bamber, the gold Cadillac, and then the shell livery BMW, number 20 of Rene Rast. We ride on board with him. Look in his mirrors. Right behind him, you can see the first of the Alpines, Ferdy Habsburg, then Lawrence Van Tor in the Penske Porsche with the second blue Alpine behind him. That's Fred Makovici. Running as Lanterne Rouge, the last car. In 18th place is the Proton Competition 99 Porsche, but a change of place here. Ian James in the 27 Heart of Racing Aston. He's got his nose inside the Mercedes of Andrew Gilbert. Can't quite squeeze through and complete that. Gilbert did well to use that momentum around the outside in turn 1, but here we go again, looking up the inside, and this is going to be to move up into the top 5 for Ian James.
And Ian James saw that the AMG had lost momentum by being forced wide through turn 1, and that move was 3 corners incoming. Brilliantly done by the team principal, remember, at the Heart of Racing, as well as race driver.
And right behind Ahmed El Hati, the Qatari driver, just across the water from Qatar here in Bahrain. Omani driver, beg your pardon, of course. And Yasser Shaheen behind him as well. A little further afield across the water from Australia. The 31 BMW right behind the 46. It's been a tough season for BMW in LMGT3 and in hypercar. They've not produced the sort of results that they did last year with those LMGT3 machines.
Well, we're just past 1/16th of the time distance for this season finale. Half an hour gone, 50% halfway through the fuel stint for the energy stint, my apologies, for this hypercar field, and the entire field covered by 30 seconds.
And the leader's just about to hit that big tussle at the back of LMGT3 now. They're coming down the back straight. The leaders are close to them as we ride further back in hypercar with Lawrence Van Tor.
Yeah, Van Tor down in 16th position at the moment, and after that scary moment that we saw on lap 1 where he just about kept the car pointing in the straight line. But look at this, Kevin Magnussen, eyes full in his mirrors of this guy here, Earl Bamber in car 38 Cadillac. It's only a matter of time, isn't it? You see the BMW just slightly pulling away in the straight line, but a little bit wide there is Magnussen in turn 11. Does that give Bamber a bit of a chance on this run up through 12, 13? He'll be thinking about already the main straight after turn 14 and 15. So it's all getting set up here on this part of the track. Once again, Bamber looking for a much better exit than the BMW in front out of turn 13. Gets into the slipstream down towards the final couple of corners. He's going to be as late as he can on the brakes into this one, but focus fully on the exit. And Magnussen now knows that if he's going to get any apex around this circuit, that's the one to do it at turn 14. It looks like he's successfully navigated that corner and lives to fight another day down the main straight. It'll have to be an almighty lunge for Bamber to make it from here. Doesn't make a move there that time around, but you just get the feeling it's a matter of time, and it could be after this corner, a couple of corners here. Bamber just taking a much tighter line through 1 to give himself a run. This exactly down towards turn 4. That's what I saw him doing in 1 and 2. This is where it begins.
Try and cut down underneath on the exit of 4. You have to go around the outside of 5, but if you can sit there, you get the inside of 6. He doesn't.
And all this ducking and diving and sitting so close to the car in front of the dirty air plays havoc with the tyre wear.
Shaheen going by, just gets cleanly past Ahmed El Hati, so a change for 7th place between the two BMWs.
Yeah, and sitting in behind them is the 33 TF Sport car of Ben Keating.
It's what we were saying, wasn't it, as well, at the start of the race. Ben Keating was at the wheel in qualifying against all these drivers around him and just didn't have the pace. But look at him now, starting to make huge gains on cars that he had no chance in beating yesterday in qualifying.
Don't forget, that 33 Corvette was the race winner in Qatar, the season opener. 11 months ago, whenever it was, 10 and a half months ago, from 13th on the grid.
Yep.
Didn't qualify well all season long. I mean, a multiple pole position sitter, but nowhere close to it really much of this year. But it is a race car.
Has had wretched luck this year, the 33 car, and it's the first car mathematically out of it. Just wanted to point out, by the way, even before we got into this traffic, we were beginning to see the gap come down between the Peugeots and the Toyotas. It's the last little bit of traffic before they actually get back on the tail here, and I think we're beginning to see this come back as a 3-car battle.
4-car battle, potentially.
Okay, Mike, the situation is that our front right tire pressure is on the low side. We will manage that with brake temperature. That's why I give you a couple of recovery switches.
Anthony?
Yeah, interestingly.
What are they doing?
Interestingly, so the front right tyre, as we know, is the medium. So have they looked after that tyre in terms of brake bias too much? And they want to just boost that tyre pressure up slightly to build the temperatures up as well. I think that's a good sign for now. It means that they have performance in their pocket, because the tyre's actually running on the cooler side. I would have expected the complete opposite at this stage in the race.
Which would have been a disaster, because you're kind of wedded to that medium right tyre right front, and if it is overheating so early after half an hour, then you've really got problems. But you're right. Now, I'm used to front and rear brake bias, but you can change left and right as well?
No, you can't change left and right. No, you can't have asymmetric braking, so they're just talking about literally the bias between front and rear axle.
Okay. All right, so Toyota 1-2, Peugeot still 3-4, and as Graham said, closing on the top 2. This could be fun.
This is the group, by the way, again, from 12th down to 17th. We've got Nico Ferroni just a little off the pace of this group, but this has been a very static group, side by side there, the BMW and the 92 Porsche. Ryan Harvey want one of that, but that has left the door open. Alpine up the inside. I think you may well be both Alpines to manage to get past that BMW.
Yeah, Ryan Hardwick just didn't see that one coming, and there was contact actually in the middle of turn 13, and look at what it's caused. Some changes of position, and I think they were lucky to survive that one, that contact there. I was expecting the car, probably the car number 92, to get spun around.
It's Ferdy Habsburg that made hay there, and all of a sudden he's pressurising not just the first and second of the Porsches, not just the BMW, but now with the lead group of this batch up the inside here from the Porsche. Was that a bit of contact for the number 6? All of a sudden this is going to be a mix-up.
Lawrence
just went over the curb.
Lawrence Vantol like a rat up a drain pipe, so half an opportunity straight down the inside, dive bomb Rene Rast, squeeze through. Didn't look like a touch.
Easy come, easy go for Rene Rast, wasn't it, that one? I'm in front. Oh no, I'm behind again. But that's what happens through the traffic here. And look, once again on the exit of turn 8, cars, it's like cat amongst the pigeons, isn't it?
And this is the battle with the 009 Aston Martin. 51 here has moved ahead of the Aston Martin up to 6th
Oh, there's
position.
contact, sorry Martin, contact between the number 83 Ferrari and is that the 33?
33.
Yeah, it was the right front that hit the left rear of the Corvette.
You cannot, again, you know, we're only 40 minutes in and nearly hits the BMW as well. They've got to be so precise in traffic, Anthony. This is, for me, this is the unbelievable job that the pro drivers have to do in these top class cars, is thread their way through the traffic.
And it is more so their responsibility. It is, you know that you're out there with a whole load of bronze-rated drivers, and they're trying the best that they can, but they haven't got the same pedigree, with all due respect, as these hardened pros that have done it since they were, well, fresh out of nappies.
And not the speed in the cars either. So it is a tough battle. Now here is the number 5 Porsche, and this is Julian Andlauer just holding off 007 Aston Martin of Harry Tincknell. Tincknell has a good run here, Anthony.
Yeah, we've seen all weekend long the Aston Martin's got incredible straight line speed, and look at this and listen to this. The V12 thumping away doing its thing, and down the inside he goes, a little bit compromised by the AMG in front of him, but gets by Julian Andlauer.
and you can see the 60 Mercedes there got a big break ahead of the car right behind that's giving chase, which is the 31 BMW, because the BMW was almost into the back of Andlauer's Porsche.
Cracking stuff, really. Just want to draw attention to the lead gap overall. The gap between the leading Toyota and the third place Peugeot coming into that spell of traffic was 4.2 seconds. They've now cleared that traffic. It's 3 seconds.
I didn't expect actually the Peugeots to be hanging on like they are to the Toyota, so this threat is real.
Yeah, we need to work the front left as well, Harry. Work the front left.
Work the front left. Isn't that the one that does all the work? Meanwhile, down the inside comes Julian Andlauer, gets by Ferdy Habsburg, so retakes that place. And he lost in traffic. We're getting towards the end of our first stint on fuel, on energy. You can still have electrical energy, electrical charge left, but if you run out of fuel, just like any other normal internal combustion engine, you tend to stop. So your pit stops are governed by how much fuel you're using.
Look how tight this is with the LMGT3 cars through 12 and 13, and a lock up there and contact. Was that one of the Alpines?
That's Makovici in the second Alpine, runs into the back of Ben Keating, the 33 Corvette.
Poor old Ben Keating, he's getting hit from every car that comes up behind him.
And that's been his season. Graham said he's had no luck other than bad, and that's the way that's going.
I'm delighted to hear, by the way, from Ben, his intention is to be back for another go, and maybe his last next season.
Ben Keating, the Tom Jones of endurance GT racing and LMP2. It'll be a sad day when he's no longer here. But our lead battle, Anna Robin and Martin Berry in the black Mercedes. Through comes the 007 Aston, just separating that at the worst possible time for the Mercedes driver.
Exactly, but that's the nature of this. He's got the blue flags on his head. That's the nature of this type of racing, Martin. You could see almost the frustration in his eyes as we rode on board with him there, looking in his mirror and the right-hand mirror as well at these hypercars coming through. And yeah, you have to have respect for everyone at work doing their thing. You're all in your own race.
Just so we just mentioned Ben Keating, he's been so long a standard bearer for the absolute tip of the bronze spear, if you like, in the World Endurance Championship and across the pond. Martin Berry, a much more recent addition. They reached 17 total entries, overtaking both Lotus and Glickenhaus in starts in the World Endurance Championship. This young man, though, young compared to me, Australian, living in Singapore, is going to be a big part of this scene for some time to come.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff from him.
He's been really enjoying himself, and that's really shown in his racing. Still battling with Arnaud Robin for the lead in LMGT3. This is just, if you're in an LMGT3 car, then you might have a couple of laps where it's relatively quiet, and then it's a never-ending stream of traffic coming by you, Anthony.
It does seem to be that way at the moment, doesn't it? Look at this, Ryan Hardwick in the 92 Porsche on the inside of the 59 down at turn 11 and gets that move done.
Goes by James Cottingham and Darren Leung on the right-hand side of your picture trying to do the same. Darren was saying he's going to try and make it all the way through the triple stint. So let's see if that is possible. It certainly would be beneficial for the team as long as you're not losing too much pace.
I think the reason he's made that move, one, there's the opportunity there. Two, now they can see a gap is opening up in front. They want to make sure he sticks with the most leading group he possibly can to make progress later.
Okay, let's pick the wheat from this chaff. There is our race leader in LMGT3, the 78 Lexus of Arnaud Robin. We rode a moment or two ago with Martin Berry right behind him. Here's the 38 Cadillac, 13th place, but right on the heels of Kevin Magnussen. Kevin, who started 10th, down to 12th position, and really trying hard not to lose any more spots. But you sense that BMW, like the Alpine, has not got race pace at the moment. I think that comes in a second stint, Anthony.
I think this traffic that has been weaving their way through has actually protected Magnussen. He's been decisive when he needed to, and as well as keeping his nose clean through the LMGT3 classes, but now it's kind of back to as we were before that group of cars we've just worked our way past. So yeah, Magnussen once again now got his mirrors full of that Jota Cadillac.
Single figures of laps, we believe, until we get into the scheduled pit stops. What we've got at the moment, gentlemen, 9 cars in effectively lead group separated by 12 seconds. 2 in sort of no man's land. That's Harry Tinkley and Julian Andlauer. And then the group we've been following for much of this race so far that are further 6 or 7 seconds back.
Look at that on the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen. So 27% energy left, 26% for Will Stevens in the number 12 Cadillac. So yeah, we're getting closer, around 9 or 10 laps we believe, before we're seeing the hypercars come in for their pit stops. Let's keep an eye on number 38, just has a bit of a dive to the outside there on our screen, but thinks better of it. Bamber definitely has the speed. He goes for that tighter turn 1, gives himself a better exit through turn 2 and 3 once again. It's not going to be enough this time around to mount an attack in turn 4.
Yeah, down to you. We're happy with left. We are happy with left. And planning to go a lap shorter to speed them a little bit late.
Oh, giving away your tactics there. So trying the just to offset yourself. Going to be on the undercut side of things, although you're not going to be changing tyres. By the sounds of it, they're happy at least with that left front tyre, or maybe even the left side. It might be. We often see them only changing the sides of their tyres in this game now because of the lack of tyre warmers.
Change for last place, and not last in LMGT3, as Darren Leon goes by teammate James Costingham. The 2 United Autosports McLarens at the tail of the field. Graham, as you said earlier, United moving on to start development of McLaren's hypercar from next season. So who takes over the reins here?
The Garage 59, and they are here in strength. We'll see Alex West, one of their drivers and team owners at the rookie test tomorrow, sampling one of these 2 cars, but also the other 2 owners, Chris Goodwin, no relation, and Andrew Kirkcaldy, absolutely no relation, both here as well, around in the paddock and learning as they go. It's another changing of the guard. Lots of stories about new things to come, and lots of goodbyes too, but in the case of United Autosports, not for long.
Look at the top 3 in LMGT3. They're on track on their own. A good little battle between Lexuses and the Mercedes. Meanwhile, the K-Mag train continues. Magnussen in 12th place. The Cadillac right behind Earl Bamber, under pressure now from around the outside from Lawrence Vantor. Now, was that a mistake from Bamber? Has he got an issue? Yes. He's a problem with the Cadillac.
I saw him take that curb heavily in turn 1. The car did a massive jump in the air. I wonder if he just momentarily lost gears and lost momentum. Let's keep an eye, especially when he gets out of turn 8. But he was definitely in trouble there on acceleration. I'm pretty sure something happened when he clobbered that curb as hard as he did.
Ferdy Habsburg trying to wrestle his way past in the Alpine, but Bamber shut the door there.
So this is the next time he'll be using first gear into second. Does he accelerate well out of here? Yes, he does. So I wonder if he just either hit a switch or something on the steering wheel when he hit the curb that hard, or whether it did
just
momentarily jump out again.
Yeah,
it's something definitely happened with the driver of that car after that heavy hit. I don't know if we'll get to see a replay of that, but he hasn't taken that much curb the entire race.
Look at this. Battle for the 81 Corvette, one of our championship contenders. No, that's not. That's 33. That's Ben Keating. So that's the 60. This is about to put a lap on Ben Keating.
No, that's for no.
No, that is for position.
It's
Sorry,
for position.
yeah,
Andrew Gilbert has just been gradually dropping down in the order. Pretty steady run from him, but not able to match the pace of a couple of the cars ahead of him.
And Keating
that's why.
Yeah, so that's why he lost the time. So Keating's managed to make his way through the BMW as well.
See the BMW 31 there, just kind of having a big slide in avoidance, and so that cost them time.
Yeah, so the car 46, Keating was behind that car 46 when last time we saw them on screen, so he's making headway.
maybe that's all those nudges he's getting from behind. Meanwhile, here comes the number 6 Porsche again, creeping very slightly closer again. And again, so often we see with Porsche, it's this sort of softly approach in the first stint that starts to reward the chassis in the second stint with slightly less bad tyre life. But Laurens Vanthoor having a look at Kevin Magnussen.
If we cannot overtake, we are moving.
Well, by the looks of it, he doesn't want to stop any shorter than necessary because he's on. We thought that Bamber was putting pressure on Magnussen. This is another level, isn't it, with Vanthoor really flying here. And it looks like he's, like I thought before, he's been biding his time here, looking after his tyres. He's got a lot left in the tank here, not literally, and not. I don't mean in terms of fuel, I mean in terms of that. What a move down the inside into turn 10. Brilliant stuff by Vanthoor.
Before we heard from in-car there, I was about to say he looked terribly comfortable for a long time in 16th. Now, that's not enough. It's go time.
Well, don't forget, he was given that golden ticket when Bamber had that mistake. He went straight by and immediately onto the back of Magnussen. Within a lap, passed again.
Yeah, it did look like Vanthoor had more pace as he sat behind even Bamber. It looked like he was the fastest of that train of cars, but just couldn't do anything or didn't want to do anything about it at that time. Look at this, the front of the pack. Car 7, car 8. Hartley just kept that same distance, 1.5 seconds there or thereabouts to him and his teammate Mike Conway. But both Peugeots are starting to pull themselves into this.
Well, the Peugeots have always been pretty strong here, in both iterations of the 9X8 that we've actually seen.
Update on pace, top 4 us, Toyotas and the Peugeots, similar pace, and then further back some others in the 54s as well.
All sorts of storylines being pursued here. Toyota in pursuit of what would be their first podium this season. That's never been the case before, even in 2015. Peugeot, they want that win.
Hearing on the radio, Anthony, that Bamber's car, when he hit that curb, momentarily the full course yellow cut in and so restricted it from accelerating. So you're absolutely right. Something there in that impact confused the electronics, but they're back up to speed. And again, yeah, Toyota looking for a podium. We've had a podium already just last time out for Peugeot, but a win. Can you imagine? Into the pits for the very first time in this race comes the Lexus of Petro Umbraresco, so in from 3rd place. So they're staggering their cars. This isn't Formula 1. It's not 2.2 seconds go. You can't double stack the cars, Anthony. This is a much longer business. Just 4 people involved in the pit stop with the tyre change. And they're going for a driver change. Now, this is very early.
Yeah, so driver change there. Usually we see the bronze-rated drivers stay in for, well, as long as possible at the start of the race. Because so much more can happen through the length of the race, and all you need is a safety car later on, and that can really play havoc with your strategy. So they try to get the bronze drivers, in the kindest way, out of the way as early as they can, just for pure strategy terms. Just looking at the slow-mo here of Paul di Resta and his teammate Loic Duval at the wheel of their Peugeots. I completely agree, Martin, that they sniff their best chance of victory, don't they? And they desperately want that.
Céline Martin stays in. No driver change in the 60 Mercedes of Andrew Gilbert either.
So you're only allowed 4 people in the pit stops here in all categories in WEC. Only 4 people over that white line at any time.
Now, tyre change for the 60 car. It may have been 1 rear. It may have been 2 rears.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Watching here as the hypercar train comes through LMGT3 traffic, but taking account that we'll keep an eye on board with Will Stevens. Ryan Hardwick, having been unplugged from behind both of the McLarens, is catching the Ferrari ahead.
And also maybe just bedding himself in and has really protected the tyres. That's key for Ryan Hardwick in that turquoise car. Here's the change where the 51 Ferrari went by number 12.
He's making progress because he's already passed the Aston Martin a lap or 2 ago, so he's on the charge now.
So we're seeing the Cadillacs fall back, basically. So I know Bamber had that problem, but is that a spin on the exit of 13?
Peugeots. So 93.
So big moment for Paul de Resta. So Loic Duval now up to third, de Resta down to fifth, and in danger of dropping to sixth if Will Stevens has anything to say about it in the 009 Aston, and Marco Sorensen right there as well.
Yeah, Sorensen right there now with the Cadillac. He spotted the opportunity. Is there going to be a further problem though for that Peugeot?
The Peugeot's got very good straight line speed. I think he'll be okay. What happened? Was it traffic? Or did he just... Yeah, it must have been with the Aston Martin. I was looking at the first Peugeot, first of all, it must have been. It's a very out-of-character mistake from Paul de Resta. Otherwise, no, it was the curb.
Trying to go inside the number 10 Aston to not lose ground and hook the curb.
To get out the dirty air, basically, as well. He's gone over the inside curb a bit too much. The car's bottomed out. As we know, they have to run that car quite low, being a ground effects car. And, wow, it's as easy done as that. But I think if he hasn't got any flat spots on those tyres, he can get himself back into this race.
That virtual championship position, by the way, interesting, because all it's showing is that what Toyota are doing is pushing Porsche and Cadillac further away from any potential result here.
Yeah. Like they care. they just want to win a race. But no, you're absolutely right. And it's not always what you or your rivals do, it's where the other cars fall into play. 92, Ryan Hardwick stays in. Left sides only, left sides only.
Great stop. That was really efficient. You could see the crew at work there.
Well, they know this is about winning a championship. I mean, they'll do it all day, every day anyway, but especially so now.
But, you know, the F1 pit stops are impressive just because they're so fast and it's so well orchestrated between so many people around the car. I find these pit stops equally as impressive, although they're much slower, just because of the athletic nature of people running around and pulling these massive wheels off and on the cars. It really takes a lot of ability.
It's what 22, 23 people in a pit stop for Formula 1, 4 for this.
Yasser Shaheen side by side with Ahmed Al-Hati. Can I just point out the pink car in front? Started 18th and last. Where are the Iron Dames now? Celia Maltani's 9th. Here comes the 60 car. Now, a couple of cars have stopped, so that will resort itself. But she's doing a really excellent job in this first stint.
Both the MGs, by the way, switched drivers in those pit stops. We'll keep an eye on whatever else. All on pit lane right now, Stefano Gattuso from the lead of the LMGT3 race, with others pitting around him.
Air temperature is only 30 degrees, but that's still quite hot. In the car, it'll be more like 60 degrees. So actually, maybe keeping everybody fresh is a sensible option. Don't forget the 60 Mercedes just out of the pits and already starting to retake positions.
And was the car 61, I remember, doing the driver change as well? So
the new driver is the silver driver in that car now. Yep. So 61 has switched drivers, but looking down the order, plenty of them switching drivers, and that's what you're seeing at the moment is progress.
And you really see, as well, you also see, Graham, the difference in the decisiveness. That move down the inside into turn 13 there, you saw the nose of the car dip down. Is a driver at the wheel who is willing to take more risks in a way than a bronze driver, is naturally a little bit faster as well, and these are usually up-and-coming drivers, the silvers, that are on their way to stardom, becoming golds and the platinums of this world.
So Anthony, now the teams have to tell the hypercar drivers, pro drivers in the car or silver drivers are in the car, because suddenly they're going to be much harder to pass.
Absolutely, it's cars that you would have been seeing yourself pull away from before, suddenly they're on the attack and making moves like that on you.
Take a moment to have a chat to our car 92. Ricardo, what sort of information are you getting from out there? It's been a tricky first stint, particularly with the traffic so bunched up.
Yeah, so I mean, so far so good. We just finished our first pit stops. I think we make up some positions, which is good. So let's see what we're doing in the next few hours. But so far so good.
What's the tyre degradation feedback been like?
Yeah, we know here is very high. We already discovered the first 2 days, so yeah, all the key point is to manage our tire, we know, so that's what we are doing in the first part of the stint. Yeah, you know, then it's going to change with less temperature in the night, so but let's see, as I said, let's see.
Yeah, and what sort of degradation are you anticipating then over the next few hours? As we know from yesterday, the track changed quite a lot from about 4 o'clock, didn't it?
Yeah, as I said, the the temperature dropped quite a bit, so also the deck will be different, and also the balance is going to change from the beginning of the race to the end. So we try to manage the balance to have a mixed for mixed conditions. So let's see.
Good start so far. Well done, team.
Lots of hypercar pit stops as well. 007, 009, Aston Martin both in. Shaved tyres going on there, so those are tyres that we used in qualifying. You don't get fresh tyres every time, and the 38 from Hurst Team Jota here, Cadillac Hurst Team Jota in the pit lane as well, expecting number 12 in as well on this lap.
Looked like a lot of brake smoke, didn't it, coming out at this early stage in the race from both fronts on the Aston Martins there. Something to keep an eye on through the rest of the race.
Anthony, does it make a difference that that's not a hybrid car?
It possibly can do, but they would have engineered the car to obviously cope with those kind of demands, where this is a very high energy braking circuit. As we see Brendan Hartley in the car number 8 now peel off into pit road.
And everybody behind him follows in as well. So Mike Conway goes by, Loic Duval up to second, but Hartley, Giovinazzi, Di Resta, Will Stevens,
what do they do?
Hansen, Nick Nielsen, and Julian Andlauer.
What do they do tyre-wise on this Toyota? So the only teams running the front right medium, we heard they were happy with that, albeit maybe slightly low on temperatures even on the front right. Ferrari in as well.
There was no sign of tyres.
All 3 Ferraris in, by the way. BMW, they kept the 20 out. No, that car's, no, yeah, they have split, so 15 in, 20 not.
No tyres for Ferrari. Just saw the Michelin man walk away with his hand up in the air, got a big thumbs up. Maybe they are going. Okay. Toyota, surely no tyres, not in that speed of a pit stop. No tyres for Toyota. So they're happy with what they've got, and more importantly, how they're using those tyres. 7 hours to go. Excellent stuff. So 1 hour down. And in another hour, we'll only have a standard world endurance race to go.
And that looked slow on the left rear, didn't it, from the number 83 crew?
Yeah. Well, 51 came in ahead of them, went out ahead of them. There's a Peugeot ahead, Cadillac coming out in front of the 83. But that's as they were.
No, the 50 car has leapfrogged the 83 in that stop.
Yes, it has, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. The 83 had a slow stop because of that left rear.
Yeah, minute 21 seconds on pit road for the number 83, the number 50 by contrast, a minute and 18.
So these drivers will have to swallow a little bit of pain here that have changed some tyres. We believe just the rears of that car 83, possibly the other Ferrari as well. Here comes our race leader of Mike Conway. So what do they do with him? But you'd have to say they're swallowing the pain now to have a much faster end to this second stint. Toyota, big gains by not changing any tyres immediately in the pits, but they'll be suffering towards the end of this stint, hanging on to all 4 of those tyres that weren't changed.
Yeah, also in from second place, having not pitted first time around, or first option the 94 Peugeot, and from third, having not pitted that time around, Lance Vantor. That was a hip check.
Yeah, Celia Martin getting hit by the 31 BMW of Yasser Shaheen. She ran a little deep into turn 1. But he ran even deeper, and unfortunately, there was somebody in the way.
No, more smoking brakes here, so it's not only the Aston Martins that are suffering with that.
Mike Conway from the lead, Loic Duval from second. This is Lawrence Vantor in from third. Ferdy Habsburg pitted from fourth. René Rast from fifth. Nico Varone from sixth position, but the lead goes back now to the number eight Toyota.
That's longer pit stop from the previous leader, because the number 8 car is away and clear through turn 1.
Only thing I can guess is that they've changed tyres.
Strategy, yeah. So a minute and 2 seconds in the pit lane from the number 8 Toyota. Everybody else who's done any tyre work, 15, 16 seconds longer.
And I can tell you now, just by the body language of that car, that was at least one rear tyre that was changed on Mike Conway, because as soon as he released the pit lane speed limit, the car was squirming around all over the place, and that would only really happen if you're on new cold tyres.
So it's a minute and 2, as Martin said, for the 8 car on pit road. It was a minute 19 from the 7, and a similar pit stop too for the number 94 Peugeot.
That sounds like a clean tyre change. Let's go back on board. 009 Aston Martin, Marco Sorensen. In front is the number 12 Cadillac. So there have been changes, and in fact the 83 Ferrari is now down to 9th place, whereas their championship leading rivals in 51 are up to 4th.
Battle here between the number 12 Cadillac and the 009 Aston Martin.
Yeah, Marco Sorensen in the 009 really putting the pressure on Will Stevens here.
51 ahead of 93, Di Resta behind Giovinazzi. So Giovinazzi splitting the Peugeots.
That's a 94, isn't it?
Has he got ahead of Duval? He has got ahead of Duval. So Giovinazzi up to 3rd.
Wow. You can still see Duval weaving around, trying to get some temperature into those tyres on the Peugeot. This is how the move was done, down the inside into turn 8.
I am next to Kevin as driver of the number 6 Porsche. We just saw a stop. First question, what's the feedback from Lawrence?
Our feedback is good. I think he felt good in the car. It was just a bit of a waiting game at the beginning, not being able really to overtake on pure pace. But as soon as the degradation kicks in for some of the cars ahead, we could pass and had some very good pace at the end of the stint. So this is good. We lost quite some time in that first stint, but the race is still very long. Everything under control so far.
Okay, quick question about the strategy. We saw you change the 2 rear tires and the car number 5 changed the 2 left. Why is that?
Well, it's like a driver preference and setup, setup adjustment on the cars. Lawrence felt for the rear. He thought the rear suffered more than the left side, so we chose that. Julien thought the opposite, and I think we saw many different strategies within the cars. I think Toyota didn't change tire on one car, so let's see what pays off, but we believe ours is the best, of course.
Excellent. Well, good luck for the continuation of the race.
Thank you.
Nothing goes by these guys, does it, Anthony? They see everything, and you have to, because you have to watch. It's like when you're going from wet to slicks in F1 or the other way around. You watch what other people are doing and see what happens. So here is the number 6 car, and they are just outside the top 10, 007 behind, as we go back to Lynn Hedanius, who's taken over the 61 Mercedes, and that is 2nd place, looking for the lead in LMGT3. He's through. So Lynn Hedanius, the silver driver, first year of top flight racing. He came in with very little experience into World Endurance this year, and he's leading here in the season finale.
Yeah, 3 silver drivers, 1, 2, 3 now. Danius, Clement Schmidt, Zach Robichon, Stefano Gattuso stayed aboard. He's the leading driver amongst the bronzes.
The Iron Dames in, you can see on the left-hand side of your screens. As the right-hand side, we see the Alpine working its way through the leaders of LMGT3.
That's them in again. They've already been into the pits. That's a 2nd pit stop for the Iron Dames.
And a driver change and a tyre change. So was the first one for damage?
Remember, we had that side-to-side contact just a few minutes ago. I wonder whether or not they feel they've damaged a tyre there.
Well, here is our new leader, the 61 Mercedes, Iron Lynx AMG Mercedes of Lynn Hedanius ahead of Clement Schmidt. Zach Robichon in 3rd in the heart of racing Aston Martin, car number 27. So there are still some bronze drivers in the car. Yasser Shaheen in his BMW, Ben Keating, Francois Heriot, for instance, but a number of them have done single stints to cycle through. And again, back with the Aston Martin Porsche battle, and the Aston just keeping its nose in front. Harry Tingle goes by Lawrence Van Toor.
Yep, that's that change of position. It's looked like it's been coming. Lawrence Van Toor has been climbing up the order. This is going to help his campaign to get in amongst the point-scoring cars. This is for 11th place and the first of the non-scoring cars in the World Drivers' Championship. But Aston Martin now into the World Manufacturers' title battle, because the 83 car ahead, invisible for that point.
Yep. So Phil Hansen down to 9th place for 83. That's not helping their battle for the driver's title with the 51 Ferrari. But we're only just over the first hour completed, Anthony.
So I can explain why the car 51 caught past the number 94. That's what I'm seeing. The 94 didn't take any tyres. Car 51 took a set of old rears, so used rears probably from qualifying, so still got a lot of juice left in them, i.e. much more grip.
Well, let's get down to the Iron Dames garage. Ralph Fry has taken over from Celia Martin. Let's find out what's going on.
I am next to Michel Gatting, driver of the number 85 Porsche that had already 2 stops. Can you explain why?
Yeah, I mean, definitely one too many. We had a puncture, unfortunately. I guess it just sums up this year. It's been tough. We try to keep up the spirit, but it's getting more and more difficult. But of course, with these guys, this team, we don't give up. We hope we can fight back somehow with a strategy, but it's been a tough year, really tough.
Okay, you have to finish on a high with a big push in the car.
Yeah. I mean, we go to the end. I will go in the car in the end, and today it's all or nothing, really.
Excellent. Well, good luck and sorry for the puncture.
Thank you.
Yeah, tough year for the Iron Dames and for Michel Gatting too, still wearing that surgical boot after breaking her foot at Le Mans, kept her out of that race, remember. I believe we may be seeing Michel going back in for more surgery at the end of this year.
So this is Paul di Resta we're running on board with now in the number 93. So as far as I'm aware, as far as I can see, neither Peugeot took any tyres at all, like Brendan Hartley in that last pit stop. So di Resta recovered very well from that early spin we saw and is now starting to put pressure on his teammate.
Can you let me pass, or what you do?
Yeah, Paul, it's under control.
Yeah, so Paul's been doing, apart from the 360 we saw at slow speed, it looks like he's been doing a good job in this second stint and still has plenty of speed left in those tyres.
I don't know what Peugeot did in terms of tyres. Both Ferraris, both factory Ferraris and both Cadillacs went for rear tyres only. A little bit more from the number 6 Porsche garage. Down in the pit lane, Bruce Ioanni. Bruce, what do you know? Excellent. So, as we said, everybody watching everybody else. Toyota 1-2. Here's the battle between the Peugeots 4th and 5th, and the place change. Paul di Resta phoned up, as Toyota have done over the years. If you phone up and say, I'm quicker than him, let me through, they will let you through and give you 3 laps to prove you are quicker than him, otherwise back in your box.
I've just had the tyre info come through on my screens, and you can see it on your screen as well, so it does confirm that both Peugeots changed the rear tyres, and they were for used rear tyres as well, so both had done qualifying.
It showed that Paul di Resta's was left sides and Loic Duval's was rears.
It's rears on both.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So again, the graphics disagreeing with the official Michelin input. However, yeah, so 2-tyre change. Here's our race leader then, Brendan Hartley, a 13.5 second lead with his teammate Mike Conway running in second. Season finale of the FIA World Endurance Championship, the Babco Energy's 8 Hours of Bahrain. The traditional finish of the season and the end of a long path for Yannick Dalmas, 4-time Le Mans winner, driver advisor in the stewards room and our leading car driver. And there's an end of season feeling, an end of term as well. Not just for some team members, but for the entire Porsche Penske team. As they got the rolling start, Toyota having dominated in qualifying, locked out the front row from the pair of Peugeots. Their job was to make sure that they stayed there. But Loic Duval trying to send it down the middle, and Will Stevens trying to go down the inside, making life tricky. As ever, 18 cars into one corner on cold-ish tyres. A little bit of a hassle. Both Alpines getting dropped down the order as the Toyotas stayed in front. Will Stevens splitting the 2 Peugeots with the Cadillac. In LMGT3, not an even start. The second place car on the grid, the yellow number 60 Mercedes, out of position, should have been alongside the leading Lexus, was not. And that made life difficult for his teammate. as they try to negotiate their own way safely through corners 1 and 2. Lexus and Mercedes, the top 4 positions. Further back, the number 92 Manthey first form Porsche trying to win the championship here. Big moment for the 99 Porsche, dropping to the tail of the field, and some solid defence from Julian Andlauer's Porsche to keep the number 50 Ferrari of Nick Nielsen behind him. Ferrari leading the manufacturers' standings. Porsche trying to take the title in LMGT3. Manthey first form, trying to keep their noses clean. Everybody else battling for position. Ryan Hardwick taking to the escape lane to avoid contact, and then giving all the places back to avoid any chance of a penalty. Towards the front of the field, Lexus trying to reassert their dominance. Number 60 Porsche and Mercedes are starting to drop a little in terms of pace, away from the top 3. Meanwhile, Nick Nielsen in the number 50 car, moving up the order for Ferrari, but with a little nudge from the number 6 car as a number 5 Porsche of Julian Andlauer as he went by. The Mustang had started strongly, battling with the 87 Lexus for a top 3 place. The Lexus getting back, the 007 Aston Martin, Harry Tingnell, tearing down the inside to move up in the top 10 as they hit traffic ahead of the number 5 Porsche. 92 Porsche, the championship leader in LMGT3, squabbling with the McLarens, squeezing by, leaving the McLarens last. Lurid spin just before the pit stops of Paul di Resta in the 4th place Peugeot, 3rd place Peugeot, dropping him down the order. His teammate and the Porsche moving up, and then the first round of pit stops. Mercedes and Lexus still battling for the lead in the race. The 51 Ferrari gaining from the pit stops, moving up into the top 3, the Drivers' Championship leaders. And now the 61 Mercedes of Lynn Herdenius taking the lead in LMGT3 as Brendan Hartley leads for number 8 Toyota. It's been an entertaining first hour, and it is still a Toyota 1-2, 8 ahead of 7 by dint of not taking any tyres at the first stop. 51 Ferrari moving relentlessly up the order, ahead of now both Peugeots who have swapped positions, and the 50 Ferrari in 6th place. Ferrari looking very strong for the manufacturer's title as well. Outside the top 10, the 007 Aston, the number 6, the defending drivers' champions, or 2 of them at least, ahead of the Alpines, the BMWs who are struggling for pace, and even the 38 Cadillac not finding the pace that their sister car has produced. The number 12 car is in the top 10. And so we continue 6 hours 45 minutes. Martin Hagan, Anthony Davison and Graham Goodwin in the booth, with Bruce Schwanny and Alex DeGuy in the pit lane. Graham?
Just one quick piece of housekeeping while you were going through highlights there. Car 31, Yasser Shaheen, will be getting 5 seconds added to the next pit stop for that incident with Celia Martin. So that incident called very much against the BMW driver. That will drop him out of the top 10 where we currently sit in the race order in LMGT3.
I'm gathering that when I tried to hear from Bruce Schwanny in the pit lane, although we could hear him in the booth, you couldn't hear him on air. What he was saying is that eagle eyes in the pit lane have been watching what Toyota are doing on tyres, and they figured that Toyota had been pacing themselves very much at the beginning of the race, and that's why the Peugeots were so close. They're expecting now Toyota to stretch away, and there's contact in traffic. The number 5 Porsche, and was that the 21 Ferrari? No, the 54 Ferrari in LMGT3.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of bodywork actually came off of the Porsche in that moment. Let's have a look from the off-board shot. I'm pretty sure it came from the left rear. That's a big old piece of carbon fibre that's flown off, isn't it? Was it from the Ferrari?
I think a dive plane. The second bit was a dive plane from the right front corner of the Ferrari, unfortunately, because you need those. The first bit might well have been a little bit at the side of the Porsche. I noticed the 6 Porsche, when it was in the pit lane, has had frontal damage and has lost one of the coloured lenses.
So Julian
Andlauer
in the number 5 Porsche there, they took the left side. When we spoke to Kevin Escher, just saw him in the garage there, he was saying that his teammate decided to go just for the rears new, and Andlauer here in the sister car has gone for the left-hand side that are new hards. But Ticknell behind went for a set of rears and the left front, so that's why he's putting so much pressure on. He's basically got one extra new tyre compared to the car he's fighting in front.
On board now with Harry Tinknell down to the start-finish line. And dealing with still more LMGT3 traffic. Got a great run there.
Yeah, that straight line speed serving him well once again for Harry Tinknell, and he's going to have better stopping power as well with that new left front compared to the number 5, but the traffic's in the way. They actually stopped Andlauer going around the outside, or trying to at least defend his position, but you kind of get the feeling that that move was inevitable. With one better tyre on his car, better straight line speed, the Aston Martin was always going to come through.
Just ahead of them, you saw the gold and the yellow, the gold number 12 Cadillac and the yellow 83 Ferrari. Phil Hansen trying to move up as well.
It almost looks like the watch that is not correct. I have some risk in the second, third gear where I should not normally.
Copy. We'll check.
I just missed the start of that message, but it sounds like he's having to take different gears from what he's usually taking. But yeah, a bit of it, I was confused, but I couldn't quite. I don't know if you picked it up, but I couldn't hear the start of it.
Wheel spin where he's not expecting it.
Right, okay. Also, by the way, I'm sure he's to be mindful of the fact that catching him is the team car. Lawrence Van Tor currently 2.5 seconds back, but consistently a little quicker.
Meanwhile, here's the gold and yellow battle. Will Stevens in the gold Cadillac Hertz Team Toyota car, currently in 8th place. Phil Hansen in the yellow AF Corsa Ferrari in 9th place. Now, not part of the Manufacturers' Championship battle, but they are second in the Drivers' title race in that yellow car, and their championship leading rivals, car number 51, are third. So for 83, they know what the task is. They have to they have to finish comfortably ahead of 51. At the moment, that's a lot of work to do.
Both on the same amount of energy used, 68% remaining, and both took brand new rear tyres in their last pit stop. So it's game on for these two, a fair fight.
Yeah, almost everybody stopped on the same lap in Hypercar and in LMGT3. There were a couple of outliers, a couple stopped a lap early, a couple of stopped a lap later, but almost everybody in the field was in at the same time. Oh, big lock up in the background from one of the two Lexuses. Is that the car that was in second place, Clement Schmidt, or is it Arnold Robin? Either way, Lexus still both cars in the top half dozen.
Must have gone seriously down on the ABS controls to be able to actually lock a tyre. I don't think that's the first time I've seen that happen in LMGT3.
It's a big old lock up as well.
I suppose if it's going to happen anywhere, it'll be into turn 1 here in Bahrain. It's such a tight corner down into first gear.
I suppose you could fox it by just pulling a lower gear earlier, and that literally locks the rear end rather than just stopping the wheel turning under braking.
Well, it looked like that was the front that locked to me, but yeah, if you're going to lock any wheels into turn 1, it will always be the unloaded front right.
Different phase in this lead battle emerging, gentlemen, and it's coming courtesy of the 51 car that at the moment is much, much quicker than the two Toyotas ahead. The gap now to Mike Conway and Antonio Giovinazzi down to under 3.5 seconds.
I'm not surprised he's faster than Brendan Hartley, who didn't take any tyres at all in that first pit stop. I am more surprised that he's able to keep that gap with Mike, or even close in on Mike Conway, because Conway, as we know, took, well, the left side only in that pit stop. I thought it was the rears, but he's taken left side only. Brand new hard tyres for Conway, used 2 or 3 lap old used tyres for the car we're riding on board with, and that was the rears that went on for Giovinazzi. So this is it's a straight line kind of circuit, straight line braking, straight line traction most of the time, and a lot of emphasis is on the rear. It's the traction that comes your way on exits like turn 8. This is turn 6 here into turn 7. The next corner we come up to is turn 8, and you watch the exit of here. If we carry on riding on board with him, it's just a straight line traction event, just as I said. The one I wanted to stay with, we went away from typically, but here's another one, turn 1, straight line traction before turn 2, and you rely a lot, therefore, on the rear of the car to do its job. So that's probably why Ferrari have gone for the total rear end change. and Toyota deciding to go for that left side. Really interesting difference of strategies going on here.
Is that because of how the car works the tyres, or how the driver is driving it and working the tyres?
It could be a bit of both, Martin. It really can, and depending on how you're running your traction control as well, if you're running it a little bit too open, for example, whether what you're doing with your roll bar changes front to rear, whether you're too stiff, too soft on the rear maybe, and vice versa on the front end, how you change your mechanical balance, whether it's too far forward or too far rearward, really has an impact on how your car uses its tyres. And then on top of it all, it's just how it inherently uses its tyres. So it's the combination of all those factors.
Sebastian Buemi wanders back into Toyota number 8 garage, leading the race here with his teammate Brendan Hartley behind the wheel. Mike Conway in second for Toyota. Getting back to this three-way, four-way battle, starting to grow. Ferdy Habsburg has jumped ahead of this, so his Alpine is doing a little better. We're looking at the gold Cadillac of Earl Bamber. There he is with the red stripe on the nose. Behind him, Kevin Magnussen in the number 15 BMW, and Fred Makovic in the second of the Alpines. And Alpine, what a change from last time out, winning the race, and here outside the top 10.
Well, it's an odd race, wasn't it, in Fuji for Alpine? They had the 36 car that was pretty much in it until that final caution, and it just switched things around with a bit of luck and strategy from the 35 car, putting the 36 out of it, the 35 into it. But this is a change between the two Porsches. That is the number 6 car up into 11th place and into a World Manufacturers Points scoring position for the number 6, as this crew tries to get themselves back into contention for the Drivers' Championship.
Anthony, radio activated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was a telegram, wasn't it, to the drivers? Allow the faster car through. So this is car number 6 making its way past with Laurent Vantour still at the wheel, and Julian Andlau with car number 5, who we know took the left side tyres compared to the rears only of Laurent Vantour's car.
We'll keep an eye on this battle, of course. I can tell you that lead battle is compressing mightily, and close thing there off the apex as well. Brendan Hartley still in the 155s, now in the 156s, in a bit of traffic, and Mike Conway down into the 53s last time around. Giovinazzi solidly in the 53s.
Yeah, we watch this battle here. So car number 15, still with Kevin Magnussen at the wheel, putting a lot of pressure on Earl Bamber, who had that lock up here. Look at that, nearly running into the back of one of the Lexuses. Can't work out whether it's out the race leader. It is.
That's Clement Smith, who's in second place.
So almost wiping out second place Lexus. That was too close.
Yeah.
And now gets overtaken by Magnussen. So Magnussen took 3 tyres in that pit stop, whereas Bamber decided on just the rears. Yeah, an old set or a used set of rears went on for Bamber versus the left front and rears that went on for Magnussen. So that's explaining why Magnussen suddenly had this upturn in speed, and a little lock up there for the Alpine that works his way by as well. Bamber having a torrid time of it here.
Yeah, that flat spot won't have helped his demeanour either. And here comes the other BMW. This is the 20, red, yellow and black of René Rast around the outside. It's going to tuck him up there, isn't he? Bamber loses 3 places in a lap.
3 places in a lap, wow. And I wonder if it all stemmed from that lockup.
Only the 99 Porsche, the Proton Porsche of Nico Varone, is behind Earl Bamber now. That is not what Cadillac Hertz Team Toyota will have wanted. Bamber struggling on the run down to turn 10, the super tight hairpin, nearly punted off the Lexus.
I let them go, no chance against them.
And you know, sometimes, Anthony, you've got to be pragmatic and not fight every car on every corner. If you know you're at a performance disadvantage for whatever reason, or they're just coming steaming up behind you, you know, likely as not, they haven't suddenly grown a turbocharger, they've got better tyres, better grip, and you're fighting a losing battle from the moment you start.
Well, yeah, I think he was only fighting one car around him that had better tyres. I know the number 36 did as well, to be fair. They've gone for mediums with Makowiki in the Alpine, so that will be interesting to see how Makowiki gets on.
3 mediums and presumably then remaining with 1 hard on the right front. So
exactly,
and that's the one that does next to nothing. Does much less work. I wouldn't say it does nothing here, but it does much less work on a clockwise circuit. The left-hand side is the one that does the punishment. Because if you don't have more left-hand corners or right-hand corners, you don't go around. So there are your changes from the grid. 7 started on pole, 8 in second, so they've gone up and down 1. But the big mover has been Antonio Giovinazzi. I mean, he's been a massive star in that 51 car right from the beginning of this hypercar program, and he's the big mover up 4 places from the grid. So they didn't get the lap they wanted in qualifying, but you know, qualifying's qualifying. That's about being the big dog. Points make prizes, points make championships, not just for Ferrari, but also for these guys, the 51 crew. And right now, Anthony, they're doing everything that suggests they're actually chasing the championship leaders. But the best form of defence is attack, isn't it?
I've been so impressed with Giovinazzi this weekend. Put in a brilliant couple of laps, pulled that Ferrari, the only Ferrari that got through into hyperpole, and now starting to mount pressure on the race leaders. So they've really brought themselves into this race here today. He's got the gap down, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, to just over 2 seconds to Mike Conway.
Hang on a minute, what happened to the 12 seconds from first to third? Where did that disappear?
I think that's disappeared with the decision on tyres. That's been coming down gradually, and now it's coming down quickly, and this is where Toyota get the opportunity to determine which of those strategies is going to work. And we've got in the booth with us right now someone who's watching this laser-like with interest. Welcome to the booth, and welcome to the World Endurance Championship to Sasha Fenestras. Sasha, we'll talk a little bit about why you're here in just a moment, but give us a few impressions of the racing you've been seeing so far this afternoon.
Well, hi guys, hi everyone. Very happy to be here. First time for me to participate in a weekend, so very excited, and so far so good for our team, of course. With a bit of a different strategy between both. We saw the 12-second gap down to 1.3 now, but looking good. It's a good track for us also last year here, so looking forward to tomorrow.
So, our team, Toyota, you're here proudly wearing Toyota Gazoo Racing colours. You're going to be one of a number of drivers that are going to be sampling the current GR010 tomorrow at the rookie test. You've been out racing under Toyota banner in Japan, of course. You're an ideal guy to ask this question, and most of your career has been spent in single-seaters. Just how is the industry of professional motor racing seeing this resurgence of sport car racing in this era?
Well, for sure, as you mentioned, I've done most of my career in a single-seater. I did a bit of Super GT back in Japan, which I would say is kind of it's kind of the older DTM, kind of a small prototype in a way. So far, you know, it's going to be my first ever experience in a prototype in a hypercar. First time even in Bahrain, so it's everything new for me. I've done a bit of sim a couple of weeks ago to prepare for this, and honestly, driving style is a bit different, of course, but you know, it's good downforce, fast cars. It's an amazing championship. So.
Sasha, what do you? So you put yourself in Brendan Hartley's position here. You're going to be in one of these cars for the rookie test. What's going through Brendan's mind when he's on older tyres here, and you've got your teammate bearing down on you on fresher tyres? What's happening?
I think Brendan knows the strategy inside the team, and you know they're playing the longer game in this race. So that's, you know, the difference will be made towards the end of the race, in my opinion, with this kind of strategy. There we go, nice little. Position changes. I think we don't have to lose time with the Ferrari coming quick behind, especially. So yeah, so far so good. I think it's not long before he pits, and then, as I say, I think the difference will be made towards the end of the race.
I'm going to ask you about the Super GT500 amongst the things you've been doing this year alongside some Super Formula. Broadly similar kind of pace to these cars. They're a little bit more old school than the hypercars are. You've had a chance to feel what this car is like in the sim. Where are the big differences between the Super GT cars and the hypercar?
I mean, I think the Super GT is of course slightly lighter car. In terms of downforce, I would say corner speed might be slightly above on the Super GT, but of course here you have an amazing horsepower with the hybrid and so on. So I think the difference in terms of driving style, I would say, is a bit coming from the downforce on the tires. In Japan, as you know, we have the tire war, so each manufacturer has its own kind of tire compound construction. I mean, everything, you can choose everything you want in this kind of tire in Japan. So in terms of driving, I would say it's a bit more fighting the car around in the Super GT. Here, you kind of, especially here in Bahrain with the high deck, you know, you don't want to be fighting the car around. So yeah, especially that, honestly. I think in Fuji, compared to the hypercar in terms of lifetime, is not that far off. Super GT, I think it was only a second and a half or two quicker than the hypercar, but the potential of these cars is highly above that.
51 car, Antonio Giovinazzi dragging up to the rear now, Brendan Hartley. Caution, warning, Sasha Fenestras, stupid question coming. Are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Really, yeah, I really do, of course. Of course, I mean, it's going to be, as I mentioned, my first experience even in Bahrain in this kind of car. So, you know, as a racing driver, every time you drive a new car is always exciting. So, looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully he doesn't pass here, but I think he's coming into a good run.
Yeah, quicker car at the moment, the tyre situation beginning to play, but of course that means that the car that's been passed here is going to be in a better position later in the race in terms of tyre selection. One quick question, not expecting you to be able to answer this fully. You're testing the hypercar. Is there a plan?
Well, I wish I could know. Who knows? Who knows? Of course, I'm here for a reason, but I think in the shorter term might be a bit tricky, but you know, hopefully we are preparing for something in the near future. That's at least my target reason I'm here and the reason I'm participating in the test with Toyota. So right now I don't have anything planned to be here in the near future, but I am preparing hopefully to be here one day.
And more racing in Japan in 26 for you?
It's looking more likely, yes. It's looking more likely to be there. Both championship always. You know, it's good racing over there in Japan. We have quite a few races in the year with the double championship and so on. So let's see how it goes tomorrow. Hopefully, I can be more involved in the team in the future here to learn a bit more.
Well, from driver potentially the future for Toyota to one in the present.
I am with Kazuki Nakajima in the Toyota Gazoo Racing garage. What is actually happening on track? Are you still learning about the degradation? Was this expected or was it not?
Well, I think it's more or less as expected. I mean, Ferrari looked pretty quick in free practice, so I mean they are right there. But we are still ahead, so we just try to manage this position as much as possible. But yeah, it's all under, let's say, reasonable control. Car 8, yeah, we had a different strategy. Now it's not really working, but we never know with the safety car and everything. So let's see how it goes. Yeah.
So the gamble was not to change the tires, and maybe are you going to change that strategy now after seeing this?
I wouldn't say it's a gamble, but it's just another try to see if it works or not. But it's a long race, so we never know how the outcome would be later. So let's see. But obviously Ferrari is chasing car 7 pretty much. So yeah, we need to push more.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Anthony, you've worked with these guys. You know they never stop thinking, never give up. And that's just an example of this. Okay, let's try 2 different strategies. At some stage, the number 8 crew are going to have 2 more tyres than everybody else.
I think it was just a case of they know they got a quick car this weekend, Toyota, but they also saw what we saw during the pre-practice sessions, not necessarily qualifying for Ferrari. Their race pace has been very strong. So they knew that was going to be a threat for them today, potentially. So they've had to reflect that in their strategy, to copy what Ferrari have done, to stick 2 new tyres on it in their first pit stop with one of their cars at least, while the other car is playing to their strengths of the team, Toyota, going for the long run. It looks bad now, of course, for Brendan Hartley in car number 8, but it will pay dividends later on when they're the ones on the fresher tyres.
It's going to be interesting to hear. There's another point to bring into account here, with thanks to Alan Carth, the legend is watching. According to our data, the number 8 car has 20% less energy than the sister car.
Yeah, I've just looked at the energy graphics as well on our screens, and yeah, it looks like, for what it's worth, 26% remaining for car number 8 compared to 46.5 remaining for car number 7. So maybe that was part of their strategy. They go longer on the tyres, but put less fuel in it as well at the same time to avoid potential splash at the end of the race.
Replay of a pass for second place. That's Fran Rueda in the 60 car, making it a 1-2 for AMG Mercedes. Now, they would have paid vast amounts of money last season to have anything approaching this performance.
There's a million reasons why this could be a critical race for Iron Lynx with the Mercedes AMG. All sorts of dramas kicking around this paddock, and this is a very, very strong performance at this early stage. 22 minutes till we get to the end of the second hour of this 8-hour race. But right now, the real drama is about the lead of this race, and the lead gap, 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, last lap around. Sorry, Martin. Last lap around. 55.0 for Mike Conway. 55.2 for Antonio Giovinazzi. So Kazuki Nakajima, although he was saying, Ferrari have really strong race pace, for now, at least it looks like Conway's got that covered. But it's not as if he's just happily pulling away from the Ferrari. Giovinazzi is going to keep them more than honest this race today. And also fascinating to see how it's going to play out later on in the race. I do feel like the Toyota's got its biggest strength under them right now in the hotter conditions.
Gap is 2.5, no GT traffic ahead. We can try to open, but just be mindful with the rear right tire. It's 14 laps to go.
Trying to open up the TC a little, just give him a bit more ability to punch the car out of the corners.
Or open up the gap. I don't know what you mean by open up something.
You're a Toyota driver. If you don't know, no one knows.
You know what? It's been a long time since I was a Toyota driver, and I think a lot's changed with that team and also, well, with the cars themselves. You never stop learning as a race team, and rules change as well. So, things evolve, and that's what competition does to everyone in this game.
Back with our regular Alpine versus BMW update. That's the end of that. Let's get back to Will Stevens versus Phil Hansen versus Harry Tinknell. So, what a combination this is. Cadillac, Ferrari, Aston Martin, premium brands over the last century, knocking each other's, well, not quite yet, knocking each other's door handles off door to door, but great racing. Harry Tinknell in 10th place, chasing down Phil Hansen. Hansen now in 9th, still, whereas the championship leading crew, Giovinazzi, 51 Ferrari, up to 2nd.
I suppose we're talking about door handles and Aston Martins after Qatar.
Oh dear. That's a long time ago as well. See how much changes, even just in the season.
It's brilliant to see it. Brilliant to see this resurgent form from the Aston Martin Valkyries. What a great display from that team.
It really is. And Harry Tinknell, great display as well of the skill that he's driven with through this first couple of opening stints of the race. Still, of course, 6 hours, 20 minutes to go.
Looking at the battle between the Peugeot, car number 94, Loic Duval, and Nick Nielsen in the 50 Ferrari. He's in 6th place, looking to move up to 5th, and this will push Ferrari's manufacturers' points total higher. And of course, it is all about that Manufacturers' World Championship for the team.
Yeah, Nielsen as well, along with Giovinazzi. We can't ignore the job that he's been doing in the first couple of stints of this race, really starting to mount the pressure on the Peugeots in front, and once again the Ferraris starting to really show their hand in this race. It's what I suspected from the comments of their drivers after qualifying, when they really didn't seem to worry too much about only having one car making it through into hyperpole. Their eyes really were focused on the race pace, and Nielsen's going to have to be a bit careful of that. You see how much of his car he put over the white line before turn 4. Does open up the corner a lot, but they'll be watching those in the race, and you can start getting warnings coming your way.
This group coming by those two leading AMGs. Just wanted to bring you up to date with the state of play with the bronzes versus silvers. Ben Keating is now the lead silver. That's a change, is it not?
No,
or is that the 50 catching the 94? Ben Keating retains 5th place. It was a great run from him. He's the leader of the bronze contingent. 4 silver-rated drivers ahead of him. Ryan Hardwick, meanwhile, sticking with the programme, he's in 9th.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on this one. So Nielsen now putting this serious pressure on Loic Duval in the 94 Peugeot. And he got close, obviously, through turn 4, 5 and 6, using the strengths of where the car is faster through the lap. But we know that Peugeot is so quick in a straight line. So it'll be very hard for Nilsson to find his way past this particular car. And you're sizing up your competition all the time. Look at that. Look at the Peugeot pull away on the exit of turn 13 down towards 14. And he's having to weigh this up, is Nilsson, and think about what part of the track he has to carry the speed and where his opportunity might come. A great run through the final corner. Let's see if he can get in that slipstream as much as possible on the run down towards turn 1. It looks pretty even for now. It's going to have to be an almighty lunge if he's going to do it here. He thought about it, but then thinks about getting the line better through turn 1 and turn 2. 6th place for now for Nilsson. Desperately got to get past this slower car at this point in the race. Gets a good run like he was wanting, and I was suspecting on the exit of turn 3. Has a look again, but it's not enough, is it?
See how much he's able to ramp the car over the curbs compared to the Peugeot, which has to sort of be a little bit defensive in the middle of the road. Down through 5 and into 6, no way through here.
This could be his chance. Into 8, no, you're in the turbulence. That's the problem through turn 7. You get into that turbulent air. And this feels to me like this is the fastest part of the track for the Ferrari in these slower speed corners. And Duval will also be looking in his mirrors, and he's a wise old fox. He'll know exactly where to place his car and what the game is here.
Think back to Loic Duval in the Peugeot in Imola. Does not like being passed, not by anybody for any reason.
What are we looking at here? Look at the gap has come down between these two. The race leader, Mike Conway, and Giovinazzi. How has this happened? Last lap around 54.8 for Conway, 53.6 for Giovinazzi.
Here's our lead battle. 6 hours, 15 minutes remaining. Mike Conway in the number 7 Toyota that started from pole was waved by the number 8 car half a dozen laps ago because he was quicker than Brendan Hartley, who didn't have any tyres. But now Antonio Giovinazzi closing down Conway, and it has been consistent progress. Every lap he's been inching closer. And Anthony Davidson, he is right where he needs to be now.
He really is. I'm surprised by this. I thought that Toyota was going to have that race pace. I thought they were going to have this gap covered to the number 51 Ferrari. Something happened on the last lap, though, with Conway losing that time to Giovinazzi. So last lap around for both of them was a 54.5 and a 54.49 for Giovinazzi. So there is, the passing of the traffic really does play its part, and they're in traffic right now through turns 5 and 6. And look at that. That was a move from Conway around the outside of, was that the Mustang? Yes, it was, in turn 7. So this is, this is really the drivers taking maximum risk to maintain track position.
Risk and reward. And this is why the pro drivers in Hypercar and LMP1 and always in the top class, that's where the big bucks come. You know, that's the experience. That's what makes you a good sports car driver, is getting through those gaps. And sometimes there's not much of a gap to be getting through, but Conway, with the headlights being flashed by Antonio Giovinazzi, he's got one more solitary car as they climb the hill. It's the 85 car, but then there's a clump of 4 in front of them, and right behind, this is Peugeot versus Ferrari. So this is the 50 car. So this is now the battle for 5th position. The Peugeot of Loic Duval, with Nick Nilsson still behind him, and we saw in a straight line he can't get by, but there is a way by because Giovinazzi did it.
One thing, if I was Toyota and Peugeot right now, I'd be telling my drivers to just use a bit more of the track, not in terms of the exit curbs, but the entry curbs. It's one thing you can do around this circuit. You'll see it before this final corner here. You have to go on to a lot of that red and white curb, almost put, and see that the Peugeot does it a little bit, the Toyota not at all. But one thing I've seen the Ferraris doing everywhere where they can, they're grabbing more real estate, and that's allowing them to just carry more speed through the corner, put less stress through the tyres. I saw it into turn 4, I saw it into turn 11 as well. It's something both Ferrari drivers doing, 51 and 50, more so than anyone else.
Is it that the Ferrari allows them to? Paul di Resta all over the back of Brendan Hartley. Hartley on an in-lap. And there's Loic Duval with Nick Nilsson behind. So this will become the battle for 4th place when Hartley pits.
This will be an inevitable pass here because the Peugeot, as we know, has got the fresh rear tyres on compared to Brendan Hartley, who's carried these tyres on heroically deep into this second stint. But he doesn't want to waste too much time here, does Hartley? He had to make a a big defensive move into turn 6 there, and he's just got to run his own race. He's got to run his own race and think about the long game.
Yeah, Brandon, box this lap, pick confirm. Box this lap, pick confirm. Driver change for Seb. Reminder to drink. Reminder to drink.
And there we go, left-hand side of your screen. You can see the graphics there of energy available. 6% only for Brennan Hartley. So I'm pretty sure they've looked at this race. If we run without safety car intervention or full course yellows or whatever, then I think they've worked out that splash or that extra fuel that they've saved themselves by doing at the end of the race, they've done it now, and therefore just taken these tyres further into that second stint.
Hang on a minute, how does putting less fuel in now?
Because you would do it at the end of the race. So you put that fuel in now, you take that fuel away now to then get yourself out of sync to save that splash at the end of the race. They're going to do that effectively right now by filling your tank right to the top, and they've taken that hit of that, what was it, 30% 30% energy that you might have to do at the end of the race. So here he goes, he's going to peel off into the pit lane now. That gives the rest a free track.
Yeah, they need to have told him Hartley's coming in, because if he started to make a move on the inside and Hartley's trying to get into the pit lane, he could have been in a bit of trouble. But Brendan Hartley comes in, Sebastian Gremier is waiting in the garage door as Mike Conway gets by the 46 BMW of Ahmed Al-Hati, and just a little bit more of a gap ahead of the Ferrari of Antonio Giovinazzi. This is our lead battle.
So just to be absolutely clear, if you're watching this and wondering why is this out of sequence, this is planned. This is not because of a drama in the previous pit stop. This is strategy from Toyota.
And if you were planning to take those tyres further, then by putting less fuel in your car, it gives the tyres an easier life. When you run more weight in your car, you slide around more and you overheat your tyres even more, and you burn them out quicker. So it could be a stroke of genius there from Toyota, or it could be a disaster.
Well, we're about to see how quickly the car can go, because the hero of this race last year, Seb Buemi, a world-class stint from him, secured Toyota the World Manufacturers Championship seemingly from nowhere. He's about to get aboard this car for the first time.
So they're going for all 4 tyres by the looks of it. At least 3 went on. So he's going to be absolutely flying now compared to the rest out there that might be thinking about taking this set of tyres, especially the rears, into a second stint.
In a lap or two.
It would take at least a lap around this track, yeah.
Because it used to be the case that you'd put a new set of tyres on with a new driver, but 4 tyres leaves you really at a disadvantage because they're all cold. In is the leader, Lynn Herdanius. In is the 54 Ferrari from second place, the 78 Lexus also in the pits. So Hypercar and LMGT3 pit stops coinciding. At least one Hypercar, the number 8 Toyota, but that was running short on its second stint in terms of fuel. So Lynn Herdanius, driver change. Was that Martin Berry getting back in?
Quite possibly. We've seen a number. Yeah, certainly the sister car, they've put Gilbert back in. Just wanted to reflect, by the way, after that second stint, still in the car, Ben Keating, he is going long here. So we're now, what is that, an hour and 51 minutes into this race. He needs to do 2 hours and 20 minutes. He's going to do it in one big blob.
And so too both BMW drivers, and so too both McLaren drivers. Tony McIntosh still in number 10 Racing Spirit Le Mans Aston Martin as well. Francois Heriot still in the 21 Ferrari. Ryan Hardwick still in the Porsche. So it is a combination of drivers at least doing a double stint out of the 2.7 stints they need to do.
Yasser Shaheen, by the way, after attracting the attention of stewards earlier with that 5-second penalty added to the first pit stop for the car, now getting a warning flag for, quote, multiple situations.
That's a great little phrase. I don't think I've ever seen that. Multiple situations. Still back with our race leader, Mike Conway. Now again, they've got still sort of 25% of this stint to run, and you sense that Antonio Giovinazzi maybe doesn't have to push the advantage, but if Ferrari want to win the title, they also want to win the race, don't they? So racing drivers are racing drivers, Anthony. He's going to try, isn't he?
Oh yeah, you want to win the race, of course. Go out in style. And when you've got the fastest package under you, you want to utilise it. And it's great fun when you know that you're putting the pressure on the race leader. You've come from a position where you struggled to make it through into hyperpole. We see on the left-hand side of the screen there, the Lexus in the garage.
That was the pole-sitting car, Arnold Robin, and drama then for the Aconis ASP Lexus squad. Nick aboard the number 51 car, makes its way through.
Is that the Lexus that had the monster lockup? Was that the beginning of an issue for the team, I wonder? We'll have to send Alex down. Bruce is doing other things. So maybe down at 78 Lexus team, but whatever it is, it ain't going to be a quick fix.
It's been a good run through the traffic so far from Mike Conway, and the frustration for Antonio Giovinazzi, but he's playing it wisely here. He's picking them off when he can do, and you win and lose through traffic. So yeah, the gaps come back down again as Conway's now reached the tail end of these two cars in front, and there's a Valkyrie in front of that Ferrari.
Yeah, just out of the pits you can see weaving. That's 009. Roman De Angelis is in the car. De Angelis, one of the two drivers in this team that finished second in Petit Le Mans a few weeks ago. A massive, massive result for Harter Racing Aston.
Down here with Brennan Hartley, that looked like a very tricky stint. Looked like there was a bit of a drop back due to strategy, but is it how you were not expecting strategy to play out, but were you surprised, and does that mean things are going to change for you guys?
Well, I think we were the only. Sorry, it's noisy. We were the only ones that did a double, so I kept the tyres. It was the plan going into the race. So the first stint, I really tried to look after them. I think what it does is it positions us to have more tyres than everyone at the end. Tyre deck's so big here, and we saw last year that's actually how we won the race, by having 4 new at the end when no one else had it. So now, for the rest of the race, we've got 2 more tyres than everybody else. So that was the plan. Position-wise, I think we're more or less net P3. Let's see. We might get a bit of an undercut now, but that was the plan.
I guess the beauty of this is that you have an awful lot of history of how to win here, right?
Yeah, we won a few races here, but it's a strong track for us. We've had a bad season, so we're hoping to end on a high and finish the end of the season with some rose water or whatever it's called. But
What sort of car have you handed over? What information did you give when you handed the car over?
Yeah, just some of the settings. We can change traction control. We've got roll bars, so we can change the mechanical balance, and just giving as much feedback as I could. Also, curb usage. You try and hand over to the next driver with as much information as possible.
Right, I can hear you.
Okay, right.
It's very loud, isn't it? Great, thank you. Good stuff.
Alex Agui with Brendan Hartley as his teammate Mike Conway. Anthony is under real pressure.
Yeah, Mike Conway had the bad luck through the traffic that time around, so it meant that he caught a car in turn 5, 6 and 7, and now the gap separates us slightly through the higher speed element where the turbulence comes into effect a bit more, and they've also had to work their way around the Aston Martin, the Valkyrie, who's fresh out of the pits, and that might be a bit of a nuisance to these two in front of them as his tyres start to warm up clearly from that pit stop beforehand.
Yeah, it's a mark of the pace of this race so far. We're closing in on 2 hours elapsed as Théo Pourchaire gets ready for his introduction to WC. But that's the first time we've seen a hypercar lapped, and he's a pit stop out of sequence. This has been a very close race down through the field.
But it's really interesting what Hartley was saying there. So it was planned, and so they purposely had to put less fuel in the car because they probably didn't want to take those tyres through a complete double stint. That would have started to lose them time, but that lack of fuel that went in definitely offsets them strategy-wise as well in terms of energy compared to the cars that they'll be fighting later on in the race, and maybe that's a way that you overtake cars virtually instead of getting stuck behind them.
And that's potentially the cleverest part of that strategy, because they've not done 2 full stints on those tyres they've gone long on, but they've done it just rather less than everybody else might have to in other circumstances that are yet to emerge in the next 6 hours.
Meanwhile, Loïc Duval diving by the LMGT3 Ferrari as he tries to hold off, or continues to hold off. He's not trying to, he's succeeding in holding off Niklas Nielsen. And as we've seen, the 51 Ferrari up to second place, but this 50 car in a very strong 5th place. But the 2 Peugeot in front are still running strongly, and they have kept their tyres alive, Anthony.
But this is what I meant by getting yourself offset in terms of energy strategy wise as well, because you don't want to get into this situation where you're in a faster car and you can't get past the car in front. You need to run your own speed, your own race for race pace, and that's why Nielsen's still not able to get past the Peugeot. If he was on different strategy fuel wise or tyre wise, then it opens up more opportunities and you can then run your own race speed wise.
So behind this lead battle, Roman De Angelis in the Aston Martin has just stopped, so he is effectively just off the lead lap, but that will come back. It's 50 seconds just to drive through the pit lane, plus another minute and 20 odd stationary, so that's a whole lap behind when you stop for fuel.
Yeah, and De Angelis, you can see at the bottom of the screen on the left-hand side, 90% energy versus Conway and Giovinazzi's 9 and 6% respectively. And they took all 4 new tyres on the Aston Martin in their pit stops. That's why he's harassing them right now.
You need to fight either with both Toyota and Aston. Okay?
Yeah, he's not. He's driving his own. Although it looks like he's harassing Conway and he keeps flashing him all the time with the lights, I sense the body language from that car 51. That's the fastest car in this fight right now, Toyota versus Ferrari. Giovinazzi feels what he has under him in the faster car, and he's just loving this. He's biding his time, looking after his tyres.
Now we've got another gaggle of hypercars starting to hit pit lane. Amongst them, Phil Hansen in the 83 Ferrari from 8th, the 007 Aston Martin from 9th in the hands of Harry Tincknell, but the fastest man on the circuit right now is down in 17th place, and it's Sebastian Buemi.
Here comes the battle for 4th place. Duval only just ahead of Nielsen as they both come around the Iron Dames Porsche of Cillian Martin in the hairpin at turn 8. It's a really big break down the hill into turn 8, and then even worse for the tyres here into turn 10. Corkscrewing downhill into a tightening corner, and on the back stretch past the Oasis pit lane, Nielsen with a run on Duval, but even on a short straight like this, the Peugeots pick up out of the corner, and its top speed advantage just keeps its nose in front.
So I'm just looking at my circuit map. I don't know if it will pop up on your screens at some point, but just to answer or pick up on what you were saying there, Graham, with in regards to Sebastian Buemi, who, by the way, took all 4 new tyres, not brand new, they were used, but they've stuck with that right front medium, as we see the Aston Martin just getting past here on their brand new tyres, and Giovinazzi has been told, do not bother fighting that car, let him go, and I'm sure he will. So he unlaps himself, does De Angelis, from the 2nd place runner at this point, so just ignore that. Completely different stages of the race for those two. But going back to Buemi, he has got, that's why he's running his own race in his free air. He's got no cars around him, not even cars he has to lap at this point, so that's why he's putting in these times right now, Graham.
Well, to tell you what the difference in time is, our leader Mike Conway last time around a 1:54.5, Seb Buemi a 1:52.6.
And there's the tyre deck that Hartley was talking about. Now, what can the car 50 do? Nothing into turn 4 this time around. Nick Nielsen must be so frustrated knowing that he's got the speed here over the Peugeot in front, but I must say, Duval he's driving a masterclass in defensive driving.
Car 21, meanwhile, the Vistray, of course, a Ferrari. This, remember, a car in championship contention under GT3, under investigation for an incident at turn 13. And we've got the team manager of the Aston Martin 009, a big twitch there under power from the 007 car, the 009 car to race control, and that's lost a place.
007's just come out of the pit lane, so
that's why.
And with Tom Gamble at the wheel, may well be on 4 new tyres. We just saw that for 009. It is going very, very slowly. That is all 4 tyres, surely. So Tom Gamble taking over. And down in 16th, Robert Kubica in the 83 car. He's taken over from Phil Hansen. In the pit lane, the first of our Penske Porsches to stop. Number 5 car, Julian Andlauer. Will Stevens is in, Ferdy Habsburg is in. This is his car. Kevin Magnussen and Earl Bamber as well. All tyre change for the Alpine, so you assume it's no longer Ferdy Habsburg at the wheel, and number 5 Porsche went by. As into the pits comes Antonio Giovinazzi. Well, we saw he had a couple of % energy less left than Mike Conway, and that should be 1 lap.
Yeah, so I would assume he's been doing a lot of lift and coast in that Ferrari, having had better race pace and just focusing on saving energy.
And being in the slipstream behind the Toyota allows him to do that a little more without losing ground. And so
now here's a guy getting in that maybe will be more on the attack when he sees a chance with the Toyotas in front.
What makes you say that? Alessandro Pierguidi.
Past races here. I remember a fight with a Porsche once upon a time in GTs.
I can remember a fight between his team car.
Nick Nielsen out of 50. There's a driver change as well in the number 6 Porsche. So that is the end, at least for the moment, of Lawrence Van Tor. Kevin Esch takes over. So 2 stints to start the race from our hypercar drivers. Mike Conway still the race leader, should be in this lap. And does Loic Duval follow him down the pit road, or does Peugeot get to lead at least a lap here in Bahrain?
I think Peugeot have led the lap earlier on. I think they did. Number 8 car, meanwhile, is on course, beginning to cycle back up the order. The cars ahead in pits. Just how far will he rise?
One advantage that the LMH cars have over the LMDH cars is that when they pull away from the pit stop, they can use the front energy as well through the front motor. The LMDH cars are only rear driven, so the rear motor, electric motor, is driving the rear axles. So that is you see the cold tyres go on, and the true four-wheel drive cars in that moment do have that slight advantage in the pull away.
In the background, leader is in, Mike Conway. The exception to that rule would be the Aston Martin Valkyrie, which has no hybrid drive, so it's only rear-wheel drive as well. So it will be able to spin up the rears, and you are allowed to now, whereas previously that would have been a drive-through penalty. Nick de Vries getting into number 7.
Yeah, good couple of stints there by Mike Conway, wasn't it? Really solid performance, as we often see from him.
I was going to say, quelle surprise. He is absolutely like these, the veteran guys, him and Seb Buemi, Brendan Hartley, they're not there by accident.
Good driver, that Quelle surprise.
Yeah. All together or not at all?
I'll get my coat.
Sorry. That was completely terrible.
He's here all week, folks, and he is a dad. Those are the level of jokes you can expect. So 4 tyre change on the number 7 car.
Yeah, so it was the right front that was the medium. That's how they started the race. We've seen that Buemi has continued that trend, and I'm sure that the same thing has just happened with car 7 as well.
20 BMW is in as well.
And this is a tough one when you're
Aston.
When you're out the pits and you got 4 new tyres on, and you're the driver that's just jumped in and you're in the lead of the race. Effectively, you're in the lead of the race. That's the kind of pressure that every driver feels, and there is de Vries desperately trying to get all 4 tyres up to temperature, with the shark coming up behind you already with a lap under their belt, with much more heat in their tyres. And look at this, Pierguidi, he can see that Toyota coming out the pits with de Vries at the wheel. Oh, and that was contact there, wasn't there? Yeah. Turn 1,
Porsche
car 12.
Caddy.
So that's Alex Lynn.
It is 6 and 12.
Yeah, Estra jumps in, and straight away, look at this argy-bargy between these two. I can't imagine the stewards are going to look kindly on that. Oh, he was run out a bit of road there, was Lynn, and then kept his nose in, and as almost to say, well, you gave that to me on the exit of turn 1, then I'll give this to you here. Two big boys fighting it out themselves, but I got a feeling that the stewards are going to intervene with that one.
Was that Lynn on hot tyres and Estra out of the pits on stone cold tyres? Is this decisive now for Alessandro Pierguidi? If he doesn't get by Conway, where he's got this heated tyre advantage, he's not going to get by him, is he?
De Vries. But look at this. You got Buemi, 3rd. Absolutely flying once again. He loves this place, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
What a great 3-way fight we have here. And Buemi, of course, will have less energy on board compared to the 2 that have just stopped, so he'll naturally have a bit of an advantage there, but his tyres will start to just be dropping off that cliff as the others' temperature gets into its own, and they'll have the tyre advantage, so it might equalise for a few laps here.
Toyota, Ferrari, Toyota. That's your 1, 2, 3, just into the third hour of this Babco Energy's 8 Hours of Bahrain. And Brendan Hartley, the man with less weight to carry as he's got a little bit less fuel in the tank. For Alessandro Pierguidi, the 51 Ferrari, this is not their battle. They can win the championship as a driver team. They can win the championship for Ferrari without having to win the race. As they are now, Ferrari are looking very strong in the manufacturer's title race, and it would take an absolute catastrophe to hand it to Toyota. So that's what they got to avoid. Keep attacking, keep your focus, but you don't have to beat the Toyotas. You want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you pass that message on to Alessandro Pierguidi.
I think there'll be an engineer or two that's probably, remember our mission here, Max, remember our target.
I think, yeah, if you're a fan of colourful in-car radio, stick with us here on...
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting phase of the race, though. I know we joke, but a really interesting phase with that, with Buemi driving car number 8 now. We've got a yellow flag out there. Which corner, we don't know.
Turn 12.
Oh, the one we've just been through.
It's come and gone. It's come and gone. Somebody's had an off-track moment and gone back on. That's the exit of corner 12. So all clear there.
But yeah, like I was saying, really interesting phase of the race. So Buemi knows that he can't really pressurise these two in front of him anymore because they've got that couple of laps advantage tyre-wise now. Because the Toyota 8 is out of sync in terms of the energy. But what that's allowing car 8 to do, as we heard from Brendan Hartley earlier, is just at the end of the race, that's when we'll have a huge tyre advantage compared to everybody else.
Ooh, and now look what's happened. Because the Porsches have got one car into the points, they're now back up to second in the manufacturer standings where Toyota were before when they were running 1-2. So that's a massive swing with a 1 position loss on the podium.
Well, the difference, though, is that from where we are, Porsche can win this championship, but Toyota cannot. That's the maximum possible. Not quite now, actually, but we were in a position of the maximum possible points that Toyota could gather.
But that was with Ferrari scoring. If Ferrari don't score, then that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Toyota cannot catch Ferrari in the Manufacturers' Championship. We've seen where they were in that virtual championship standings when they were running 1-2, and they cannot catch the current total of Ferrari. Porsche, if things go dramatically differently to the way they are now, could.
Yes, Porsche not having the best race, are they? 10th, 14th, and the Proton car last. Meanwhile, in LMGT3, Graham,
something very interesting going on here, and potentially quite dramatic. This is the lead car again, the 87 Agodis ASP Lexus Pedro Andresco. We've got multiple runs drivers at the head of this field. In fact, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. But only Ben Keating has been in since the start. He led the race up to the last pit stops, where the silver drivers of the other cars, of the lead group, Ben's the only one that's been in from the start. He did not take tyres at the last stop. He's going long for his 2 hours and 20 minutes and whatever change they decide. He's also eaten up the second stint tyre. So this could be a remarkable run from TF Sport.
Little mistake from the heart of racing, Aston Martin, car number 27. That's in 4th place. Ian James still in the car.
Thought I would have a catch up with Mike Conway of car 7. Mike, that was a really dominant first stint. You guys have an awful lot of history and knowledge here. To what extent are you feeling pressure from that 51 Ferrari, or is it a comfortable position and all about the long game?
Yeah, I think they were right there, to be honest. I mean, not much between us. I think they looked like they had good pace in the second stint, in the middle part of that. But they did have a different strategy on tyres. They just changed rears, so good for us to keep in mind what we're going to do for the future. And yeah, so far the car's been good. It's just trying to be tyre management, really. And it's a bit unknown. Even though you learn a lot through the practice, you still don't really know what's going to happen in the race. And just try to manage my best and not not destroy the tyres in the first stint and have enough for the second part. So it felt okay.
What happens for you next? Are you back in for the end?
Yeah, possibly. Nixon now a double, Kamui a double, and then we'll decide what to do if we split it a different way. But yeah, it just depends on now the next 2-3 hours.
You can go rest.
Yeah, interesting comments there by Mike Conway in regards to, and I had forgotten about that. I remember mentioning it, but then I forgot that they took the left-hand side tyres. That's what he was referring to. He was saying it was interesting what Ferrari did in their pit stop by just putting on the rears. They swapped the rear tyres. Conway's car went for the left side. So in terms of this circuit being a lot about traction, a lot about braking, I do feel like Ferrari played that slightly better there by going for just rears only. I think that paid dividends towards the end of that second stint.
It's been an interesting race on strategy in microcosm, hasn't it? In a whole range of ways already in that first 2 hours of racing. Multiple different strategies which have led to really different approaches to this race of the leading teams.
And while we focus briefly there on the car 51 and car 8, it's a 7-lap tyre offset between the two of them to the 51 and car 7's advantage.
Look at the top 8 cars in Hypercar. We've got a pair of Toyotas, both Peugeots, all 3 Ferraris, and a single Aston Martin ahead of the number 12 Cadillac. So the top 10 has got 8 different brands in it. Well, just quite impressive.
Good mention, by the way, back down in 16th place at the moment and aboard the car for his final start in professional motorsport, Jensen Button.
Change here for 3rd place in LMGT3. Harter Racing's Ian James ahead of Andrew Gilbert. Last time we saw Ian James, he was running wide at turn 1 in 4th place. At the number 60 Mercedes just behind him now. That's the yellow car. The 61 car still ahead of him, and that is Martin Berry, who's been in from the start.
No, he hasn't. No, none of the drivers.
Lynn Hedanius took over. You're right.
None of the drivers ahead of Ben Keating have been in from the start. So TF Sport are now 5-6 minutes away from burning their full bronze required time, and have taken a set of tyres for the better part of a second stint as well.
Yeah, so he's basically saving tyres and doing all his driving stint in one go, which is double bonus. Now then, also in LMGT3, our championship leading 92 Porsche, from being 17th on the grid, is now up to 7th place. Ryan Hardwick still at the wheel, has been from the start. That is a very big drive from Ryan Hardwick as well. I know Ben Keating came from far in the backfield as well, so those are 2 men in motion.
Ben just wants to win this race. They've had a horrible season since that win in Qatar, whereas Ryan Hardwick has got his eyes firmly on the prize.
And he's attacking as the best way of defending that championship lead. Excellent stuff. And he's ahead now on the road of their closest rivals, the 21 Ferrari. Kevin Escher and Alex Lynn under investigation for an earlier incident, but here we can see the Porsche black car. Toyota, that's the one going by. Our lead is passing one beyond the other. So Nick de Vries going by the Codis ASP Lexus of Petro Umbrarescu, the 87 car. That leads, in fact, that was number 8 Toyota, wasn't it? Sebastian Buemi.
Just maybe keep in mind to protect the right-hand side as you'll be doing a double there. Track temps lower now, 35 degrees.
So they're planning on sticking to what they did with Conway's car earlier on by just the left side going on. So you protect the right side, they'll be going for the left inevitably. So yeah, they've seen what Ferrari have done with their car by just going for the rears and still deciding to stick to what they know works best, perhaps on their own car, sticking to that right front medium. Do they then put mediums on the left because of these cooling conditions?
Air temperature here in Bahrain, barely any different from the start of the race, still showing at 28 degrees, but the track temperature has dropped from 37 down to 33, so it was nearly 38 degrees, so very nearly a 5-degree track temperature change. and that alleviates some of the pain for the tyres. But Anthony, this original surface laid at the end of 2003, early 2004, now over 21 years old, and the aggregate is really tough. It's like racing on a cheese grater.
Yeah, the bitumen has worn down, and the stones are protruding through the top, and they're really sharp granite stones here. I think it's Welsh granite or something.
Shropshire.
Shropshire. Oh, Shropshire. So
Shropshire blue.
That's why it's lasted and stood the test of time in these harsh elements here in Bahrain. But so the tarmac itself has dropped below the surface, and then of course it's taken away grip, and it's like driving on sandpaper. It rips the tyres to shreds and overheats them because of all of that friction. So that's what Hartley was saying in his interview. We said, yeah, this track, as we all know, we've heard not just him, many drivers say it's so difficult to not overdrive your car. And that's what they'll all be doing, especially in their first stint, because it pays off in the second stint. Look at this fight going on. Thomas Floor still at the wheel as well. A long old stint for him.
Back in.
Yeah.
So this is Thomas Floor having burned some of the silver time, but now on the rear of Ben Keating's car, who is 2 minutes away from serving his full bronze time.
And judging by the colour of the sidewall, how much brighter the red is compared to the sort of blackened red of Ben Keating's car, I'm suggesting that Thomas Floor has fresher tyres as well as a fresher body.
Meant to just mention a moment or two ago. Oh dear me!
Don't do that.
That was almost race ending, wasn't it, for two cars there?
Yeah, two GM cars as well at that. The Corvette and Cadillac. Almost disaster there.
I've been in that position myself as during my time in the equivalent of hypercar today, back in the LMP1 days, and it's just you have to put your trust that you've been seen by the car you're catching, and if you're not seen, then that kind of moment can happen very easily on the exit of turn 11.
Keep an eye on this one, but to complete the points, one to watch at this stage of the race is the 83 car. Robert Kubica aboard the car. Now Thomas Floor's got the run and the tyre advantage on the 33 car. Where is the move going to come? But that's the Martin Valkyrie's going to spoil that opportunity.
That was a saviour there for Ben Keating. Overruns his braking just a fraction, lets the Valkyrie through, and Thomas Floor still behind, but Anthony with a run up the hill towards turn 4.
Giving himself a great run there because of Keating. I think he got a bit spooked by the Aston Martin on the inside and had to give him a bit of room as well. But I think, is he going to hang on to this one? He's going to try to go around the outside. Yeah, he keeps it. I thought that Floor was going to do that, but he just backed out of it at the last minute. He had a great run though, did Thomas Floor, on the exit of turn 2 because of that moment of Keating running wide in turn 1.
Thomas doing his job to perfection. Yes, could have been more aggressive, but that could have been where the mistake came that cost them a potential finish. At the moment, Ben Keating, a little bit of a sitting duck. He's got a big tyre disadvantage. He has now fulfilled his 2 hours and 20 minutes at the wheel.
Lauren Heinrich in the Porsche, car number 5, his first time, as he flashes the headlights there to go by Ben Keating, and the number 15 BMW right behind. Those two hypercars in the battle for 14th place.
And Thomas Floor, as you can see, becomes the 26th driver to contest 60 or more races. This Davidson bloke that he's equalled on those 60, I've never heard of him.
That's why that Davidson bloke looks so tired.
Again, in the inset, you can see in the top picture, there is Ben Keating with the purple Wins livery helmet, and Thomas Floor right below him, the VistaJet AF Corsa Ferrari. And that's what you're watching in this main battle for 5th position. I think that Ben Keating will try and keep them on their fuel schedule, so he can afford to let him go if he wants to, but he doesn't really want to.
I think Keating keeps running a bit too wide. He's not really meeting the apexes. And Floor, once again, similar to, see what I mean? Look, Keating I don't know if he's getting a bit tired here, but I know he's on old tyres, but I think he's just, the focus is maybe starting to lapse here at the end of what's been, 3 stints for him?
Yeah, he's in his 3rd stint.
And he's just missing the apexes, and therefore he just allowed that move to happen in turn 14. It didn't need to happen like that.
It's sort of, he needs a caution. He needs a virtual safety car to actually save the progress that he's making here, because from this point onwards, he's in deficit.
This is why they leave the bronzes in, because they hope for that safety car, and the highest chance of safety car happening is usually at the start of the race. So that's why they tried to burn the Bronte's time early on. A bit of a different story for Thomas Floor's car, but yeah, for Keating, that's why they've kept him in all this time. If there had been a safety car, all of that loss compared to the silvers and the golds and the platinum drivers gets eradicated in one instant.
This is where we are at the moment on the virtual points, the Teams Championship in LMGT3. Very much to the fore, Monti first form, and Ryan Hardwick, by the way, just 11 seconds back now from Ben Keating, but on fresher tyres again. The 21 car is what is that, 17 points astray, and the 87 Lexus 2 points further back. Hearing, by the way, with thanks to Stephen Kilby from the press room, 78 car, which has been in the garage for quite some time, electronics problem for that car, which the team are trying to diagnose, but it's now 23 laps back.
It's not going to end up in the points, but they want to make sure that it's still running at the end of the race, at the end of the season. I wonder if it was electronic glitches that caused a big lockup. We saw for one brief glimpse of one of the Lexuses. So Ben Keating still at the wheel of the 33 car. There's the rest of the crew watching from the monitors. Didn't look like anybody was suited and booted and waiting to take over. Sort of the opposite of Alessandro Pierguidi, where you have to dynamite him out of the car to get him out, but Ben Keating knows what he needed to do. He's not the only one. Darren Leung has stayed in, Tom van Rompuy has stayed in, Ahmed Al-Hati, Yasser Shaheen, so a lot of the bronzes are going the full distance of 3 stints.
Yeah.
It's such a close fight, isn't it? Just watching Nick de Vries here in car number 7 leads this race by 3.5 seconds, and just there in the back of your screen you can see, in the back of the shot, you see the red Ferrari car 51 of Pierguidi, and yeah, 3.5 seconds. It's been like that for quite a few laps now, so close between the two, and that's what we heard from Mike Conway. He said, well, it's not comfortable for us. Ferrari definitely are in this fight, and let's see how it translates to, or maybe changes when it gets into the cooler conditions, into the darkness as this race continues. 5.5 hours still remains, but right now at this period of the race it's absolutely even between the two of them race pace.
Shades of pink in the sky, head towards the evening. 24 minutes past 4 in the afternoon here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Darkness will inevitably come, and as we've seen time and time again here at Davidson, it's a different race.
Oh yeah, the track continues to rubber in. The car just feels better and better every time. You'll see every teammate that jumps in after you, they always go faster, and the balance imperfections start to melt away, and it's amazing just what going deeper into the race in terms of length and temperatures dropping, what it does to the grip that's available. By the time you jump back in it, usually, say when we spoke to Conway, he said, and he was asked by Alex, are you going to jump back in the car? He doesn't know at this stage, but if he were to jump back in right at the end of the race, you cannot believe how much faster and how much better the car feels compared to when you started the race.
When you're online, because I've already seen how much rubbish there is offline.
So pace to car 8, you are 2/10 quicker per lap. You are equal in terms of lap time to car 51 behind us. Gaps are very stable.
That's just what I was picking up before when I was looking at laps, yeah. And it's great info for the driver. If anything, he's just starting to edge away from car 51 as well. The gap's up to 3.9 seconds on this lap, so I don't know if Pierguidi had a bit of extra traffic. And let me look into the Lexus garage there.
Yeah, sad way to end.
Is that floor coming off or floor going back on, I wonder?
Yeah. That's electronics problem, as we said. This, of course, was the pole setting car, and it's not going to end this season with a point scoring finish. But big progress with the Lexus efforts through 2025. One more year, we believe, for this car before we see the new Lexus/Toyota in 2027. There will be some changes coming too in terms of driver lineups next year. Some interesting names testing the cars on Sunday, with 1 or 2 drivers aboard this car. They've been the sharp end of this race already this afternoon in other makes. There's the lead car, though. It's the sister car. They bookend the field at the moment, and it is Pedro Rescue fending off a spirited challenge from Martin Berry in the 61 Iron Lynx. 11 seconds is the gap between the two.
Well, he's done a really good job, eased away from Martin Berry. Berry back into the car after stepping out for the second stint. Ian James, third place in LMGT3 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. He's been in from the start. Andrew Gilbert also stepping out for stint 2 and back in. This is a good way of keeping your drivers fresh.
Ian James handed over to Zach Robichaud.
He did indeed, you're right.
So I'd say it's still leading the I've been in from the start of the race group is Ben Keating, with Ryan Hardwick closing now to just under 6 seconds back.
Bernardo Souza coming down the straight. And when we get this shot, Anthony, the next shot looking up the straight with the sunlight on, look at all the rubber debris already offline. We're 2 hours in, 2.5 hours in, 5.5 hours more rubber deposited down there. If you go offline, that's horrible.
It is. So when you come up to any car, whether you're fighting in the same category or particularly if you're in the hypercar catching the LMGT3s, you're sort of ducking and diving in and offline all the time, and you want to minimise the amount of time when you're overtaking the LMGT3 cars, minimise the amount of time that you spend driving over the marbles. Francois Heriot riding on board with him, looking at the back end of the Mustang in front as we head up the hill now towards turn 4. And it doesn't look like much of a hill when you're on board, but it really is. There's a fair bit of elevation change actually for being out here in the desert. It's a surprising amount of elevation change. You dip down the hill through turns 6 and 7, and then all eyes to the left-hand side for the braking marker boards before turn 8. And they're far away, the braking marker boards on the outside of the circuit. Lots of runoff here on this track.
I think Francois, by the way, is another driver who's been in from the start. I don't think we've seen Simon Mann in this race.
No, we haven't. Francesco Castellacci took over in the 54 car for the second stint, and Thomas Ford got back in, but I think he might be well right there. Bernardo Souza just ahead of Francois Heriot, and we get back to 81 Corvette. Valentino Rossi Ahmed Al-Harti chasing Tom Van Rompuy. So Ahmed Al-Harti still in the 46 car, Yasser Shaheen still in the 31. They have not changed yet. Right on board with Lauren Heinrich. Nice to meet him this weekend for the first time in a hypercar.
He thought about it, didn't he? Thought about going for the move on the inside of the BMW, but just backed out of it. And once again, the GT3 cars surprising a new driver at the wheel in the hypercar for this weekend. Just how good they are in the slow speed corners. Their mechanical grip and balance it often surpasses that of a hypercar even.
And actually, one of the things that many drivers don't get before they get to endurance racing is any experience of racing with different classes of cars. You don't get it in single seaters. You don't mix Formula Regional with Formula 3 or Formula 3 with Formula 2, so you're always battling things that are very similar in pace. So this is quite an eye-opener, I imagine, first time out for somebody who might be coming in from single-seater racing.
Oh, it absolutely is, yeah. It's your eyes are everywhere, and you cannot believe how cutthroat the action is. And even the GT cars sometimes are the bosses out there in terms of where they place their car, especially when drivers get in, like we see here with Heriot out and Rivera in. When a driver like Rivera is at the wheel, you know that they're going to really choose where you can or can't overtake them, and they defend quite aggressively sometimes, and it surprises you when you're in a faster car out there. You have to get your head around that.
So Alessio Rivera climbs aboard the 21 car. That will be Francois Heriot's bronze time done. He is therefore the first bronze-rated driver to have completed his time and got out of the car. So that is a different strategy than some of the other cars ahead. One quick point about the mixed class thing. Lauren Heinrich, who came through that group, is a GT3 champion, GTD Pro in Rexy for AO Racing in the Amateur WeatherTech Sports Car Championship last year.
So he's not used to passing slower cars.
Well, he is, GTD.
Yeah, in GTD. I was just going to say about Francois Heriot, when we were on board with him last lap, you could see the low energy warning light, basically the fuel warning lights like we've had in our rental cars, picking them up all weekend. So you knew that he was sort of towards the end of a stint. And if he is, then the other drivers are as well. So 31.46, the 33 Corvette as well, must all be close to the end of their fuel because nobody's got 5 or 10 extra laps in the tank. So Nick de Vries still our leader from Alessandro Pierguidi and Sebastian Buemi. And Francois Heriot, the hard work continues. He's just literally got out of the car. Let's hear how he feels.
Yeah, Francois Heriot just jumped out of the car and I jumped on him to have a word about that first few stints and the first few hours. How do you feel? How is it going?
So far, I think not so bad. Beginning of the race, I was a bit cautious. I had to manage a lot the tires. I double stint my first set. So was not, the second one is not easy, and compared also to some silver drivers on track and other bronze with fresher tires, I guess the pace was not so bad. And so we are saving as much as we can to try to have something in the pocket for the end of the race. So our time will come, I guess.
Okay, so we can expect something from having fresher rubbers at the end of the race against Porsche.
Yes, let's see how it goes. But yes, we hope that this kind of extra power will help us in the end of the race.
Okay, good luck. Thank you, François.
You're welcome.
I think the 92 multi-first from Porsche, we've just seen go past Ben Keating. I think they're saving tyres as well.
That's a battle of the bronzes. They've both been in since the start. I think the difference, though, here is I don't think they've actually swallowed tyres that have been double stinted, whereas Ben Keating has. So they're saving the tyres in the Corvette for the pro drivers to come.
And interesting that Francois Heriot saying that they have not taken tyres either during that stint. So Ryan Hardwick started 35th on the grid. Ben Keating started 28th. And this is their battle for position. And this is for 5th place, 6th place.
Yeah, it's a good move down the inside of turn 8, wasn't it? It continued through to turn 9 and 10. But Ben Keating continues to battle on with aging tyres, and he must be really feeling the stresses of being out there for such a long time. Since the start of the race, deep into his third stint now.
Would have been so easy to lose Ryan Hardwick at the end of last year. He had a tough season in the Mustangs. They had a horrible year, both teams, but he found a way to come back with his sponsors, with First Form, and joining Manthey with Porsche. You always hope you're going to be in a position. Ben Keating back with TF Sport, back with the Corvette he knows and loves. He was always hoping to be in the fight, and certainly after winning the season opener in Qatar, they would have had much higher hopes for the championship than after qualifying, but it just hasn't been their year. So Ben Keating in 7th place, to Ryan Hardwick in 6th position. Should we talk Corvettes?
We're going to have to talk Corvettes because I can tell you that Ben Keating's teammate Johnny Aker is getting ready to take over after what's been a heroic stint from him. Remains to be seen just exactly where this team are on their tyre strategy. We know exactly what Ben's been doing, but it's two very different objectives here.